Welcome to Southerncross Resistance. I am your host, Chris Leeson. Today we're doing something a little bit different than usual. Normally we get into Australian news and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But today we've got Louis Sanchez over from California. How you doing today, mate?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How
Not a
about you?
problem. Oh, I'm doing very well. It's fucking cold in this back room, so I'm just going to pop my collar a little bit. Fucking.
It's
You
super
think?
hot over here, so
Oh, well, look, yeah, well, we just entered winter, so anyway. Today, as I said, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to do a bit of a review on the Han Solo movie, a bit of backlash on what's happening with that. But before we get started, what did you think of the movie?
I actually liked it, which is very.
Really?
I am the most surprised about it. I'm a very critical Star Wars fan,
Mm,
as I shouldn't be, as everyone is, but shouldn't be. I
yeah.
uh I ha- I hated the Last Jedi. Uh, Force Awakens, I get more bored with every time I watch it. And Rogue One, I can't rewatch that movie because I get so bored watching it. Like,
Oh, come on, man. That Darth Vader scene in Rogue One is fucking awesome. Like,
no, that's the thing. I loved Rogue One when it came out.
mm.
And every time I try to rewatch it, I get so bored. Like, there's nothing that I don't know any of the characters' names still. Like, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I get bored of it. But Solo is good. I thought Solo felt a lot like an Indiana Jones movie more than anything else, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, it was just a fun action movie that didn't take itself too seriously in a good way, and it was just silly enough to be charming, in my opinion.
Well, I just didn't think that the main actor was Han Solo. Like, I think that was the main problem. Like, I remember, see, the last two Star Wars movies, so The Last Jedi and Rogue One that came out, I promised my sister I'd go watch it with her, and then something happened, and like I ended up going by myself to the theater and watching it anyway. And then like during my niece's birthday party, it's just like, oh, Han Solo's coming out, we'll go watch that, because she was a little pissed off at me that I went and saw it without her. But oh shit, where was I going with that? Fuck it. Now I'm off on. Oh, that's right. So we left the theater, and as we're walking out, I turned around to her. I was like, "So, what did you think?" And she's like, "Yeah." And that's my sister's thing of it was fine, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess my main problem was I've read well, not all of them, of course, but I've read a lot of Star Wars books, like the Han
Mhm.
Solo books and stuff like
Yeah, me
that,
too.
and they just weren't the Thorn trilogy, or they weren't,
No.
like when you read those books, there's I don't know, maybe because at the time it's like, well, we're never going to get another Star Wars. I remember as a kid, like, we have the three movies. I'd rewatch the Ewok movies over and over again. Like, don't do that. I like those movies, man. They got a special little place in my heart. Those little fucking Ewoks. Even though one of them starts talking in the second one, it's just like, hang on, hang on. If this is before Return of the Jedi, why is this little bastard talking? And he just
Yeah.
doesn't talk to Leia. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just thought there's so much cool expanded universe stuff that they didn't really adapt or even try to tackle in this one. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
they did for the show, for the Clone Wars, and
Oh, like
for
that, yeah,
Rebels.
yeah, yeah.
The two main things. I don't know how spoiler we're gonna get.
Oh no, completely spoiler warning for anybody who hasn't seen the Han Solo movie. Skip ahead about 10-20 minutes before we. I'll put a marking in the video so people understand that this is where we stop spoiling the movie for
Yeah.
everyone. But go ahead.
So two things. Okay, so first of all, I'm watching Clone Wars for the first time now.
Oh,
And I
really?
know that yeah, and I know there's a character, the bounty hunter chick, that
Mm.
everyone's freaking out about because in the movie in Solo, they say it's like, hey, this important bounty hunter chick from the Clone Wars or whatever, got
Yeah,
is
Woody
murdered now.
Harrelson's
Like she's just
character.
dead.
Yeah. I was about to say that. I was sitting in the theater going, "No, you bastards!" Like I was literally screaming, and my sister looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "It, not now." Like it's too long to explain that. They just
Yeah.
killed off one of my favorite characters and that.
Off
I,
screen in a
yeah.
conversation.
Well, maybe they're planning to do an animated show, and maybe they'll
Probably.
bring her back, or maybe the Boba Fett movie. I was thinking maybe they'll probably try and introduce her there, and then
Yeah.
also Woody Harrelson's character or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. I just hated that droid. I think that my main problem was that stupid droid from that Lando had. That
L3.
yeah, that thing annoyed
I
the
uh
hell out of me.
I didn't mind L3 too much. I thought her character was really funny actually. Like
Oh,
I I
really?
under I get it. Like it's almost like it was making fun of the social justice thing of
Yeah,
like we have to save all the robots because they're being oppressed, and it was
yes,
so over the top about it. It almost I laughed at it. I was like, this is fun. Like I said at the beginning, like Solo was just silly enough to be charming for me. Like
yeah.
that whole arc with L3 of wanting to save all the droids on that one planet was, I don't
Yeah,
know. I
fuck.
thought it was relatively
It's
endearing.
but it's almost like, yeah, fuck the humans that lived there. Like, there were
Yeah.
literally humans that were enslaved there. The Wookiees were
The
enslaved
Wookiees were
there,
literally being
and
enslaved
and
for
everyone's like, no, no, we need to save the artificial bloody robots that can get rebuilt. Like,
yeah.
that's the one thing that I didn't understand either. Like, C-3PO in Empire got blown the shit apart. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And he was carried around on the back of, on Chewie's, I was about to say the Wookiee, but on
Yeah.
Chewie's back throughout the last half
I
of the
remember.
movie. But this thing died. And
Yeah.
they have a whole like, and it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, what,
This is a dead droid. Yeah, it's very
I
strange
just,
having a death scene for a droid. It was very
yeah,
weird because again, it's like, yeah, it's a droid. You can come back to life. You're not
yeah.
alive,
The
but
one thing I did like, I rewatched Empire because I do this all the time. Every time a new movie comes out, I binge
just
watch all
rewatch.
the old ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a scene, I think it's in Empire, where C-3PO has plugged himself up to, is it
Hmm.
Empire? He's plugged himself up to the computer and he's like, your ship has a very strange dialogue. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, L3. Is that what they were bloody doing the entire time?
Yeah, I
I
mean it's a
think
retcon thing, but I mean I like it though.
that's
It's kind of
fine.
gives a little bit more context to
Mm,
having C-3PO talk to the Falcon, like when Han is saying like, "Hey C-3PO, go talk to the Falcon." He's literally
yeah.
talking to L3,
I,
and I think that's
I
interesting.
always just assumed that, there was an AI on the thing, and, I always
Hmm.
thought that the ship was more like Han. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And now to know that the ship is like, that's the personality behind it, I'm a little
it
disappointed.
is.
Like,
I get that though. I never thought about that though. Like thinking that the Millennium Falcon this whole time is
yeah,
programmed from this SJW robot. That's really funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that and I really do. Oh, what's the fella's name? The guy that plays Han Solo, Ellen Wright, Eckham Wright. Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
Aiden, I don't know. No one knows. No one cares.
No one cares, exactly. I just didn't think he was Han Solo, and it's just, and at times I'm like, oh yeah, maybe this is a younger version of it, but it ends with them going to Tatooine. So you expect that, okay, now he's going to do a job with Jabba.
Hmm.
He's going to lead to the thing, then
All the
back to
huts
the,
and everything. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I can say that the only part of the movie that I was just like, like, and I like, jaw dropped and all that was the spoilers, Darth
Yeah.
Maul scene.
Yeah, I wanted to get into
Like,
that.
yeah,
That moment totally rekindled my love for Star Wars because it was
yeah,
dead for these last three movies, Rogue
yeah.
One, Force Awakens, and Last Jedi. It was completely dead. I was like, okay, Star Wars is just another thing I have to see. I'm not
It's
excited
become
for it.
Transformers,
Yeah, yeah,
honestly.
exactly. And I gave up on Transformers like after this third movie or whatever, which is
Yeah.
even too long. It's three movies too long. Uh, but
Yeah. The
this
Bumblebee looks good though. Anyway,
I haven't seen the trailer yet.
it
I'm not even gonna.
it looks
I don't
like
want
Iron
to.
Giant. If you liked Iron Giant,
Oh
it
really?
looks like
Okay.
they're going with that sort of angle.
Is it still directed by
Starscream's in
Michael
it.
Bay or is it?
No, he's gone.
Oh cool.
He's completely
All right,
out. Thank fuck.
I'll check
It
it out.
looks more. Pardon me. I haven't even had a cigarette yet. I'm already coughing. No, but it looks more like a Stephen King movie. Like even the director said that he's sort of Stephen King, bloody Steven
I was like, wait,
Spielberg.
Steven
Yeah, yeah,
Spielberg. That
yeah.
makes more sense.
Where it's actually based on the script that Steven Spielberg wanted to do initially.
Oh,
He originally wanted to do Bumblebee and have it more like Iron Giant, E.T. sort of vibe. So I think that's what they're sort of going for Bumblebee. But again, man, you burned me once, shame on me. Burn me 9 times at the fucking theater, then it's just like, oh, this is just self-torture at this point.
yeah.
every
I
time a new every time a new one comes out, I'm like, this one's gonna be good. They have a
yeah.
dragon in this one.
So for
And
the Star Wars thing, yeah, that's how I've been
yeah,
feeling for the last three movies. And then Solo, throughout the whole movie, I was watching it. I was happy. Like I was watching with my friend, and I was telling him throughout the whole movie, like, I'm having a good time. Like
Mm.
and that hasn't happened for these last 3 movies. I haven't had a good time watching it. Yeah, there are problems with Solo. Like, it's not a great film, but I've never thought any of the Star Wars except for Empire were great. I love Star Wars, right? Like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'll probably get a Star Wars tattoo eventually. Like, I play the games, I read the books, I love it. That being said, they're not great movies. I'm sorry, everyone, but to shatter your dreams, they're fine, right? Like, the original trilogy is fine. Empire is a good movie, right? It's not great. It's like an 8, maybe. Like, all the other ones are fine.
We
they're
just,
fine.
we
But
just
I
lost
love
1,000 views.
I know, but I love them. That's the thing.
That.
Like, Star Wars is such a different thing. You can't even rate it in terms of being a film. Like, it's so its own. It's so unique as a piece of media, because Star Wars isn't just the movies anymore. It's the books, it's the fans, it's the games, it's everything. It's the comics, it's the shows. So it's hard to just judge the movies as movies. And the original Star Wars, even the prequels to some extent, have a good way of keeping you still in that universe of, I'm just watching a Star Wars movie. I can suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, I like the last one of the prequel trilogy. Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. There it is.
Yeah. That was awesome. But in saying that, well, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I don't mind Phantom Menace. Like, there are a lot of good moments in Phantom Menace. I mean, the duel between Darth Maul and
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
That is awesome.
That duel is so reminiscent of the final duel between Luke and Sidious and Vader at Return of the Jedi. It's more of a mind game than it is a full on, but it still has the fun action stuff, but most of it's like mind game stuff, and I love that. Like, that final scene in Phantom Menace is great. Everything else is pretty much trash, but that last scene is great.
I think Kevin Smith even said, like, who wants politics in Star Wars? Like, I'm a big politics guy. Like, I love following politics, but at the same time, you go to that sort of stuff to escape that, and I don't care about the Trade Federation and
Have you seen Alex Jones review Star Wars?
Don't think so.
Oh my god!
More than likely, I have. I used to watch him all the time. But
everyone, after this podcast, or pause it or something and come back, you need to look up Alex Jones Star Wars. He reviews the prequels, and it's done in the most Alex Jones way, and it actually makes the politics of the prequels very interesting. He does it in such a way that's legitimately good. And look, I'm not a fan of Alex. Let me rephrase that. I'm a huge fan of Alex Jones. I disagree with most of his things because he's a silly man, but he's entertaining. And
chemicals in the water determine the Wampa's gay.
Yeah, it's crazy. But him reviewing the prequels and talking about the politics behind the prequels was very, very interesting, and I loved it. I'm
gonna have to check that out, I think.
Yeah, it's not long. It's like 3 minutes or something. It's very short.
Yeah. Right.
Where were we?
We're talking about the original trilogy, but to get back onto Star Wars, I think the problem that a lot of people have, like, and what started this boycott behind the scenes and stuff like that, is the injection of self-politics into this.
Yes.
With Kathleen Kennedy walking around, the Force is feminine. And it's just like, is water feminine? Is the air feminine? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an element, man. Like, it's not a real element, of course, but in the mythos of Star Wars, it's a thing. You know what I mean? It's not a living thing, so it's not.
I mean, it literally is a living thing, but I know what you're saying. I know. Yeah, it's not it's a concept. It's not. It's more of a concept than it is something to abstractly put a gender onto. That being said, I mean, there are arguments to be made that it is feminine. If you want to go through the Jordan Peterson Jungian thing of trying to put the archetypes up, which I am a huge fan of. I love Jungian archetypes, and I love all of that philosophy stuff. And you could totally put the Force as a feminine nature thing, but that's not what she was doing. She was literally saying this is a female thing. It's like, that's not, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say,
stop interrupting.
It's okay. It's your podcast, man.
I do it all the time, man. I get in a lot of trouble from people. It's like, stop interrupting the guest. As I'm trying to explain, not interrupting, I'm interrupting. So, sorry, continue.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very annoyed by all the politics that's surrounding Star Wars, like inside of Star Wars, not even surrounding it, because like Star Wars has always had blah stuff outside, the
Yeah.
fans, whatever, arguing about whatever, but
Mhm.
inside the movies have never really had political stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like even in the prequels, the politics stuff in the prequels was not
It was
a
based on World War One.
yeah, it wasn't like a side thing. It wasn't like our sides. It was more of like, we're going to talk about trade federations. We're going to talk about the trading items from the Senate across the galaxy. You know, like that's there's no side to take when it comes to that stuff. But
Yeah,
with this,
right.
like with I mean, The Last Jedi, and I paid to see The Last Jedi in theaters 3 times because I wanted to like that movie so bad. I left the theater watching the first time. I went with my friend and I was like, man, I'm very disappointed and I'm very upset because I want to like this movie so bad. And I saw it again and then I saw it again. And every time I see it, I can't help but think, and I get annoyed at I don't know, your listeners don't know me, but I get annoyed at how much I talk about postmodernism and stuff and what Peterson talks about pretty much. Like I'm bored of just talking about it all the time. That being said,
I'm never bored of talking about it, man. I'm constantly like, ragging on that sort of shit, but yeah.
Yeah, no, which is fine. Man, The Last Jedi is a perfect example of how people put postmodernism into modern media. Of the whole idea behind The Last Jedi is anyone can be a Jedi now. There is no objective, like even like Kylo Ren said, like there's no. He pretty much says there's no objective good or bad. Like I'm just gonna be the ruler now, and you're gonna join me or whatever. And
that's the whole idea behind like the whole Star Wars thing, man.
Yeah,
like
literally
the dark
Star
side
Wars.
And the light side.
Yeah, Star Wars is the original trilogy is a perfect story of good versus evil. It's literally perfect at telling that that concept wrapped into one thing. And The Last Jedi totally goes away with, hey, no more objective good, no more objective evil. Anyone can be anything. It's all subjective, and and there's no have to anything. I'm very curious on how the next movie is gonna do. There's so much I could talk about with Star Wars because one of the main problems was Force Awakens was written by J.J. Abrams, and he had a plan. He set up all this stuff, and then Rian Johnson comes in for The Last Jedi and was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm gonna do my own thing." And totally,
see, if you're gonna do that, give him one of the fucking standalone films.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Boba Fett maybe. I don't know. Maybe not Boba Fett. He's too good. But I don't know. Give him a Jabba film.
Wait, I'm gonna pause. You like Boba Fett?
I love, but what's wrong with Boba Fett? He's a bit of a wanker. Getting knocked.
What has he done?
Well,
what did he do? Tell me one thing Boba Fett did. Besides die by a blind man.
His helmet's cool.
Yeah, his helmet's dude, I love
right.
I love the Mandalorian stuff. Like if we want to go into the Mandalorian War, Knights of the Old Republic stuff, I love all that stuff. Yeah. I love the lore behind what Boba Fett is, but Boba Fett himself as a character, they're totally just injected. They're just like, hey, he looks cool. Let's make a movie off of this guy that looks cool. Like,
you kind of fucking stumped me there, man. Like, maybe I'm just going by like the comics and like growing up, I had a Boba Fett toy, and this is what I think the most important thing about Star Wars was that every side character had its own toy. Like not everybody could have a Luke Skywalker, or because they're always bloody sold out. But I had one of those stupid robots from the where they first get picked up on Tatooine in the not Jabba. That Land Cruiser thing. Jesus.
Hit droids?
Yeah.
Or no,
yeah.
Right? We're talking about prequel.
No. The original Star Wars, New Hope. There's a robot in there.
Was it one of the R5s? Oh, it was the dude with like all the like spider legs things.
Yeah. I had a figurine of him. I had a Boba Fett, and then I had a 12-foot C-3PO. Well, not 12-foot. You know what I mean? A huge C-3PO compared to my other figurines, which were that. He was that, but he was just
me too. I had a bunch of weird random characters, and that's what I loved about the original Star Wars stuff. And like, just everyone had all the aliens were cool, and so you could make up your own stories with all these other things, and people did. That's what all those books were.
But I think that's where all the fandom came in, was because not everybody could get a Luke or a Leia or a Han, figurine, or even Chewie for that matter. But you could always get one of the random characters.
Yeah, you can always get R5D4. You can always get R5.
You could always make up a backstory for him, or like maybe read a quick blurb on the back. Oh yeah, okay, got that. And throw it away and make up your own story. I think that's where the real. I mean, even when George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, he said that the money is in the toys.
Yeah, and
I'd say the fandom's
totally
in the toys too. Like I'd say that's where the main idea of fandom is. But getting back to the Last Jedi, what pissed me off was you go online and prior to that movie coming out, they're like, "Who is Snoke? Who are Rey's parents?"
And
they just like, "Oh, who cares?" Like I remember sitting in the car with my old man driving home, and like I was saying this exactly to him. Like online, they were saying like, "Who is it? This character. Who are the parents of this guy?" Oh, Rey. And it's like the movie is just like, who are the parents of Rey? Drunk people. Who's Snoke?
Literal drug addicts.
Cares. You got who's Snoke? Nobody cares. You got cut in the fucking half. And it's just like it's almost like nobody cares anymore.
Yeah,
at least Ryan Johnson.
I've kind of come like full circle multiple times with the whole Snoke thing, because at first I thought, okay, this is silly, because the whole thing from Force Awakens was pretty much, and then all the trailers for The Last Jedi even was like, okay, they're pretty much building this guy up to be Darth Plagueis, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly.
It seemed like they're perfectly building him up to be that, and so which makes me excited again as a huge Star Wars nerd. Like, yes, I want to see some Plagueis stuff. I want it. That would be awesome. And then they go off and kill him, and then make Kylo Ren the main bad guy. And at first, I really hated that, and I still don't like it. Yeah, but I think it's. But I do
like Kylo Ren though. Like
me too. I think he's one of the better characters out of these new guys. And one thing, my co-host on my podcast, we kind of mentioned how I'm tired. Like he was saying, like I'm tired of Star Wars having the good guys versus an evil wizard. That's what the prequels were. That's what the original trilogy was. It's all about Darth Sidious. It's all about Darth Vader. It's all about just a big bad guy in a black cloak who's evil, right? And so if they were to do that again with Darth Plagueis, I understand why that would have been problematic. Like just having another generic, not generic, but another
but he
evil
came off
wizard
generic
dude.
Anyway. You got that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And so instead of fixing it, they're like, all right, we're gonna make him literally the most generic and just kill them all, and have Kylo Ren a way more dynamic character, which I think is interesting. Not how I would have done it, but it's interesting.
I had a theory behind Rey, and I was I'm like, this is it, man. And every time I told people, they're like,
what's your Rey theory?
Awesome. Well, initially before they turned into drunk idiots, it was that because there was all that idea behind grabbing the lightsaber and her having those flashes and stuff like that. I thought that she was the clone of Luke.
Dude, that's my theory too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. That's my theory too. It would have made so much sense.
Because the first flashback, she's on the Cloud City and running down the corridor and that, and I'm like, yeah, because that's where the hand got chopped off.
Yep. Yeah.
And, all that, and then when they shit all over it, I was just like,
And then when I was watching The Last Jedi, when they did the whole, like, when she was going in that mirror room and she did the snap and, and then she sees, like, okay, who are my parents? And then it just shows her. I thought, I was like, oh, they're confirming. She has no parents. She technically doesn't because she's a clone. She's not real. Like, she's not a thing. And I was like, yes, that's cool. And then Kyle was like, oh, yeah, your parents are just junkies. They're little drug addicts. Well, and it's like,
maybe
that
not.
Theory
still holds, though, because I'm thinking, here's another theory. When the Empire would have felt all that sort of stuff of cloning Luke and all that, or whatever they were working on, probably would have, just fell in the hands of anybody, right? So what's to say that the baby girl who was the clone of Luke just wasn't given to a couple of, drunk idiots who didn't know her potential and just sold her off for money?
Maybe. I mean, do we know who's doing the next movie? Who's doing the last...
It's J.J. Abrams, isn't it?
Is it Abrams again?
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's a chance because I think Abrams had a plan, and then Ryan Johnson's like, your plan sucks. I'm gonna do something else, and J.J. Abrams is gonna have to somehow fix everything. I like J.J. Abrams as a director. I think he's really good. Like Force Awakens is not my least favorite out of these new ones.
Yep.
It's not good, but it's not horrible because it's a good movie. Like there's no obvious there's no obvious plot holes. There's no obvious like bad acting, bad directing, or anything. Like everything looks good. Force Awakens is fine. Like it's a passable movie. Last Jedi, however, is a bad film. But
it's all about fuel. It's just like I never thought I'd give a shit about fuel in a Star Wars film, man. Like
also
we're running out of fuel. We're running out of fuel. What? You know what I mean? You're talking about in a galaxy far, far away. What the fuck are you talking about fuel for?
Yeah.
Like,
so you heard what happened to the actress that plays Rose, right? How she got bullied off of Instagram. She got bullied off of Instagram, so she got bullied by all the fans so much that she left Instagram.
Well,
which is look, her character was absolutely just bad. Like Rose was a
she's
terrible
not a very
character.
Good actress either. Like,
well, I haven't seen her in anything else, so I can't judge her. I can only judge her of what I saw in The Last Jedi, and I'll say, I bet she's a fine actress.
Yeah.
With what she was given, there's not much to go off of. Like most actors probably would have struggled with that character. And so blame the writers, blame Rian Johnson. Do not blame her.
Look, I don't think you should attack her, but if you have criticism, but okay, it'd be different if she posted, here's what these people are saying. They're saying X, Y, and Z, and you'd be able to see what they're saying. But more than likely, she probably did what Whedon done a few years ago when he deleted his, Josh Whedon, when he deleted his thing, and he's like, oh, all this hate from, this and that, and and it's like, well, share with us what you've been getting. That way we understand. Otherwise, we can just make up whatever the hell might have happened to you. You know, and it could have been anything. Could have been just like, maybe, lose some weight. Or, like something as silly as that, but it goes on to, like, post what these people are saying and don't just say that they're death threats. By simply saying that they're death threats, then...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I after you started talking about it, I realized I did read that article. But share with your fans what exactly is going on. That way they can, maybe have a bit of support there. Like, I get attacked online all the time, and luckily enough, I have supporters out there who, I get called all these names. Like, the other day I had to defend myself because I'm bald, and I do a podcast about, hating postmodernism and shit. And on my, the main image for Southern Cross, it's a Eureka Stockade flag. Now, you probably don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is, yeah.
Well, there was a battle in Australia, almost like what happened over in the States with the shot heard around the world. It was almost like that. They were trying to raise I'm butchering this, and I guarantee the guy I do the podcast with is like, you fucked it up, or all right. But they tried to raise the taxes on, because Australia is built on mining gold and stuff like that. That's why all the prospectors came and settled here, aside from the convicts, of course. But but the people that came to Australia came to mine gold. Anyway, the government at the time, which was run by England, tried to raise that how much it would cost to mine gold. So they had a standoff at Eureka Stockade. And unlike what happened over in the States, we lost that battle. So it almost became like a what's that place? Alamo. It's almost like like you guys when it comes to the Alamo. That's our version of the Alamo.
Got it.
And well, I use that flag, but that's also been taken by white nationalists here in Australia who use that flag, and like I'll post it online. Hey, come support my channel. Oh, you alt-right Nazi, da da da.
So you're not a Nazi then?
I'm not. Oh yeah, I shaved my head because I want to. Anyway, no, it's not because it fell out. No, that didn't happen. No, but
only Nazis have shaved heads.
Yeah, Nazis and I was about to say Keanu Reeves, but Vin Diesel is what I meant to say.
There you go.
But like I look like Vin Diesel. Anyway, but I've had to defend myself online, by people calling me alt-right or Nazi or all this sort of shit, only because I don't fit in that sort of like postmodernist sort of view on the world.
I mean, when we get to like, I guess my side of stuff, I get that all the time as a black person being raised in California. Like,
I was good.
Yeah,
I was a bit
I'm a
nervous about
conservative.
doing this. I was a bit nervous about doing this podcast, not because you're black. It's like, oh, he's from California. Ooh,
Yeah, that's
they
fine.
voted for Hillary. Like,
Yeah, we did. Very
yeah,
frustrating.
yeah. Well, what is like, to to get more on that? What is that like? Like always be attacked. Like,
So are we moving away from solo then?
let's. Well, I think we've sort of moved away from Solo the second we
Yeah,
started
that's
talking
what
about
I
the other
thought.
movies,
Yeah.
but yeah, what's that like? Just constantly being attacked and stuff like that. Because honestly, I think that stuff it's just ridiculous to base yourself
Yeah.
on what your sexuality or your skin color or anything like that. It's just arbitrary bullshit,
Very strange.
like what
I
content of character, not color of a person's skin. Like that's a great fucking speech.
Yeah, Martin Luther
No,
King kind of was a smart man.
yeah,
He'd be ashamed of what's happening right now.
yeah, rolling
Totally
in his
ashamed.
grave. Yeah. But
Uh,
go on with what you were saying.
yeah. Well, my whole life, like since I was a kid, before politics was even a concept in my brain, I've always been the weird one of like, you're black, but you don't really listen to rap that much. You're black, but you can speak relatively well. You're doing well in school. You don't do drugs. It's like it was weird, like growing up, and like everyone around me was like, you should be doing all those things because you're black. And I was like, but I like anime and I like playing guitar and listening to Metallica and you know what I mean? Like, and it was very weird to me as a kid growing up. Cause I'm half black, half Puerto Rican. I was raised by a Puerto Rican mother, like single mother. And so I wasn't really raised black, and my mom didn't really care about race either. So like, it wasn't put upon me as like, all right, son, you're going to be a black kid. You're going to be, like we got to raise you as black.
That's what every parent sits down with their kids.
Yeah,
I'm raising you as a white kid, or I'm raising you as a black kid.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised because like I am black and I have black friends and I have grown up around black people, obviously, and so I have like a weird experience in like looking into the black community from the outside perspective of some like seeing it but not really being a part of it, and seeing how mothers raise their kids of like, you got to be afraid of the police, like literally telling their kids to be afraid of the police. It's very strange.
Well, you tell someone they have to be afraid of something, especially a kid, and they grow up thinking that they have to be afraid of it. The moment they get pulled over and they start acting nervous, then the cop's like, why are they acting nervous? You know what I mean? And already you're off to a bad start, because you're supposed to, you're almost like, a little bit of a Star Wars analogy, they're stormtroopers and, we're part of the rebellion, so sort of, but it's almost like, be afraid of them, but what I'm getting at is like, it starts you off on a bad foot, and
it really does.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going somewhere with that, and I can't remember where I was going, but sorry, continue.
You're all good, man. Yeah, it's very strange, like growing up in that environment. All right, and then so I was in middle school when Obama got elected, and I remember when that happened, my family, like my mom specifically, was like excited for it, and me too. I was like, cool, we're getting a black in there. That's interesting. That hasn't happened before, so that's interesting. I didn't know anything about politics at the time, and then so because of that, everyone was talking about it around me. Like I was in middle school, like I didn't care. Like I cared about World War II history at the time. Like I went to like the Museum of Tolerance, which I don't know if you know what that is here in LA. There's it's pretty much the Holocaust Museum. Like that's it's
I think
and
I've
like
heard
I went
of it through South Park. I think South Park did a whole thing about it, and that's sort of what bringing to mind.
Probably did. So like when I was in middle school, like not on a field trip or anything, me and my friend wanted to go because we were both interested in that. Like I was a weird kid. I'm a very weird kid, and so
well, maybe it's your Star Wars connection that's sort of
that's
in
totally
there because the Empire is very Nazi-esque, like
they're literally called stormtroopers.
So maybe it's like, oh, I found the real life version. But anyway,
that's pretty much you're spot on. Like that's actually what happened.
Okay.
And so once I saw Obama get elected, I wanted to see. It's like, okay, we got a black person in there. Let me follow him and see what he does now. And so I started, researching and looking at what he did. And as the years gone by, as I grew up, all my friends were like, man, I love Obama. He's amazing. He's amazing. And I'm sitting there actually figuring out what he's doing. And it's like, he's not doing anything good, though. Like, he hasn't done anything.
It's almost like that Eddie Murphy joke. What have you done for me lately? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that, but yeah, but it's all that's exactly when Obama got in. I can honestly say I was sitting there, and the time difference between Australia and America are a little bit different. So
About
when
17
he was
hours.
when he was getting signed in, it was 4 o'clock in the morning over here, and
Yeah.
I remember watching that live. And like I was so pumped up, man. I don't know why. It had nothing to do
It's
with me,
cool.
but I
It
was
was
just like,
cool.
yeah. And I just remember sitting there, and for some reason got my exercise equipment out. I'm like, yeah, change.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
It
and I got
totally
so pumped up, and then nothing
nothing.
changed. Like,
Zero things stayed.
yeah, it's like we're shutting down Guantanamo. Nope. You know, ending the war in Iraq. Nope. We're just gonna
Nope.
move. Oh well, yeah, we're ending it, but we're moving it over here,
We're just
here,
gonna
and
take
here.
everyone out without a strategy and then literally create ISIS. That's what we're gonna
Yeah,
do.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
uh, yeah. So growing up and then like learning more about politics as I got older through high school and stuff, like I started realizing this is silly. Why is everyone around me saying like Obama's great when I don't think he is? And so that started my downward spiral into the conservative viewpoint, I guess, and learning about like guns and learning about taxes and learning about the Constitution and reading that thing and
What
learning about
getting on that gun or getting on that gun thing, man. Whatever you do not let them take that shit. Like, you know, living over here in Australia,
yeah,
trust me,
is it pretty
it
bad?
fucking sucks. No, well, there are
I know
certain
I
things you can get a gun in Australia,
yeah.
but it's so fucking hard, and you have to go through all these fucking hoops and shit like
Well, I
that.
know the violent crime rate hasn't gone down in any higher percentage than ours has.
Yeah.
Even like so from the time that you guys got rid of guns and then through this UK's all times forever, like they haven't had any decrease in violent crime rates.
Yeah.
Like because like all of Western society is going down, like in terms of violent crime rates, but you guys aren't going down any faster than we are, and we still have guns and you don't, so it can't be.
Well, a better equivalent is New Zealand, because we're much more similar to New Zealand. And I remember getting into an argument with my teacher all about guns and that, and she pulled up the graph from 94 or whatever it was, 96 when the guns got banned to now, and you know you can see it progressively going down. And she's just like, you know, well, you know, you can't say that it hasn't done something. And I went, all right, hang on, give me a second. And I got on the thing and I pulled up New Zealand, and I'm like, look, and it was exactly the same. And, and New Zealand didn't ban the guns; they still got them. And I'm like, you know, where's the, you know, see, they didn't freaking ban the guns, but look, it's you know, they're still fucking doing pretty, you know, their crime rate's still going down. And when they bring up like a drop in gun violence by 70%, they also chuck in suicide, you know, and you know, just the way that, you know, like
the way they show those numbers is very disingenuous. And so like I didn't know any of that until I started researching it, because I was just always told in school and just by my friends and people around me, it's like, yeah, no, guns are bad. And so I just assumed they were bad, and I didn't really think about it that much, like at all. Like I have the only like conservative viewpoint, I guess you can call it, air quotes around that like would have been ingrained in me from a kid is military, because there's a lot of military around my family, and so I've always been like supportive of the military since I was a kid, just because that was just around me all the time, and I know how that works. That was really the only thing. Everything else I had to learn on my own, because my mom doesn't care about politics at all, and no one else around me really did. And so as I started learning all this stuff, it got even worse. And then I started learning about the gender pay gap and how that's not a thing. And I wanted to talk about all that stuff. And then and I'd lost a lot of friends. It was real fun.
Dude, it's so, well, I look at it this way, because the same thing happened to me, like, especially when Trump started getting in, you know, and everyone's like, he's a racist, he's a big, I was like, well, you wouldn't have said that 2 years ago when you caught me reading The Art of the Deal. You know what I mean? What are you reading? Oh, Donald Trump's book. Oh yeah, that guy from The Apprentice. You know, that's all that they ever said. And then the second he got in, you know, he got into the power, suddenly he's
racist now.
And
he wasn't racist before, but now he
hates women. And you know, and what I find funny about that whole like Russia probe into him, they found a hooker. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, not a hooker, but well, she gets paid for sex. So what else?
Prostitute.
Yeah. Well, adult film star, let's say. You know, and that's all they found.
And that wasn't even that was BuzzFeed put out with that art, like was the one that broke that news, and it still hasn't been confirmed. and people are still reporting it as like, yeah, that happened. Like, but there's no confirmation that he did any of that stuff. There's no confirmation that he hired a Russian prostitute to pee on him or pee on the bed. Pee on the bed that Obama slept in. Yeah, like that. There's no proof of that.
Yeah,
at all. There's just one document saying that.
The person who wrote that dossier worked for MI6, right?
Yeah.
They also then sold that dossier, whatever, to both the Democrats, and then they sold it again to the FBI.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, well, they're making money out of it, you idiots.
Yeah.
You know, don't you see? Like, you know, it's not like someone said, all right, let's seriously have a look at, if, he's peeing on people or whatever, which is the most ridiculous. And besides, he's Donald Trump that ran Miss America, for fuck's sake.
Look, even
his wives.
Let's assume it's real. Let's assume that happened. How does that make him anything? Like, how does that affect anything about him as a president or as anything? Like, how does that? I don't know. Like, that doesn't affect anything in my eyes. Like, yeah, he's a weird dude. I don't want to be friends with Trump. Like, I don't.
Well, I'd like to hang out with him because he's got some money. Maybe that's just the reason. But
yeah, no, fair.
I'd like to get a selfie in the White House. I think that's the only thing that I want. Sort of what Candace Owens recently got. Standing right next to him and shit. But
yeah,
I'd like a photo like that. Like, just me standing there, because I know that the second I posted that on Facebook, just all the backlash I'd get. But as you said about your mate, your friends, distance yourself from you. I had that, and all I was doing was trying to give people the other side of the argument. That's one of the reasons I started this podcast. I started this podcast and I lost more friends than, say friends in quotes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Then had I just, you know what, man, had I just been a racist, I honestly think that those people would have just fucking, it would have just been all right. But because they couldn't argue my other side. Like, I'm pro-life. And I remember getting into an argument with... sorry?
No, I was saying same-ish.
Same-ish. Yeah, well, there are some grey areas, I suspect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, like, I've been by the side of friends of mine, like male friends, who, they were with some bird, and then she fucked off, and before they she went and had an abortion and shit like that. They weren't consulted. And I just made the argument. Would you feel all right if you were a woman and a man made you have an abortion and you wanted to keep the baby, but he forced you to have an abortion? I know I wouldn't feel right about that. Then how's it fair for him? Like, how is it fair for the fucking friends of mine that I'm fucking, consoling because they made a stupid mistake and hooked up with the wrong person?
I don't know if they know this, but to make a baby, it's 50% of DNA from both sides. It's that child is half man, half the woman. Like, it's not it's not more the woman's than it is the man's. Like, they don't have more genetic influence on that child than the man does. It's very
the argument that I had at this party that I was sort of getting at, and we had I was like, listen, man, if women were frogs and they were impregnating themselves, then I wouldn't
turning gay.
Fuck. But if they had all the equipment inside of them to sort of impregnate themselves and have babies, then I probably wouldn't really care. It probably, I probably wouldn't care. But I think my main fucking issue, especially when I started going down this avenue, was, friends of mine bawling their eyes out, going, I wanted that baby. I would have and like, we had the argument. It's like, well, what if they were raped? I was like, well, that's a medical issue. If they were raped, then the guy has no say in it, obviously. And, that's a medical issue.
I like Steven Crowder's take on that specific argument, because his whole thing is like, oh yeah, what if a woman's raped? It's like, okay, it's a horrible act, right? Rapists should be castrated or killed. That's what Ben Shapiro says all the time. Yeah. That being said, that has nothing to do with the conception of a child. Like, literally, like, how it happened doesn't matter. Now there's a child. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's a separate end. The whole point with that, like, the pro-life argument is life starts at conception. That period. Regardless of how it happened, life starts at conception, and that life has to be protected. Like, that's the argument. And when you want to put all these other things, what if it's rape, what if it's incest, when those are 0.1% of the percentage or whatever, it's like very, very small percentage of abortions are done from cases like that. But sure, let's do those very small percentage of those. It still doesn't change the fact. if your argument is pro-life, that life starts conception. My whole thing is why I say like I'm pro-life-ish is because I think scientifically life starts at conception, because one of my arguments is if we were to find a single-celled organism on Mars, we'd instantly call it life. But if we see a single-celled organism inside of the human body, you was like, oh no, that's just a cell.
Yeah,
that's just a clump of cells. You can get rid of that. Yeah. And which is ridiculous to me. You can't have both of those viewpoints in your head unless if you think that human life isn't as important as alien life, which is weird.
So let's find a little microscopic organism and then say, yes, we found Martians. But then suddenly, it's like, well, I'm having a baby. Well, that's not a baby. That's just a clump of cells. It's just like,
oh god, everything.
Oh, look out. Don't worry about it. You're right. Well, I get into this argument all the time, and I think what really what was there? I'm trying to think of this woman's argument. It had something to do with if she couldn't take care of the baby. I was like, well, adoption.
Yeah.
And she's just like, well, if she didn't have the money to take care of the baby, then she doesn't have enough money, during the pregnancy and da-da-da. I was like, you do know that there are Christian organizations that give a woman money all the way through the pregnancy up until the birth. And then even after the birth, they're willing to say, do you
I
want
guarantee
to
you it's not as hard as they think to find resources to help them with that. Like, there are...
Her argument was, though? Her argument was simply that, because she had no idea about this. She'd never heard of, Christians doing this, right? But her argument at the end was, well, that's not enough, that's not enough money.
Yeah, what? Okay. So then that's not what it's about then.
Yeah, there are arguments about money. Not
about
the fucking life. You piece of shit. But I think what really pissed her off the most is I had a couple of people sitting behind me, and I didn't even know they were behind me. I was just one-on-one like this, having the conversation. And then I remember, giving that whole, well, if they were like frogs, then, and, they were self-impregnating themselves, then I wouldn't care. And then I remember thinking, oh, hang on, there's someone behind me. And I turned around like that. And they were actually paying attention, and they're going, yeah. And I think that's what really pissed her off the most was the fact that fucking she was losing the argument in front of other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a frustrating thing. I get that. Yeah, well, I get why she would be. Yeah, because that happened. Like that happened to me too. Like when I talk to someone and I can see other people agreeing with me, it's like okay, then they just leave.
And then I remember I had to leave the party for something, and I came back like an hour later, and I knocked on the door. And I knocked on the door, opened it because it was half open. And I remember she's like, oh, and she looked around like really excited because it was a woman that I was debating. It looked around really excited like, oh, who's at the party? And saw me and like, and the look on her face, I mean, dude, if fucking looks could kill, I would have fucking fell over right there on the spot. But I was trying, but to leave that sort of, anything to add? So I want to sort of,
so like I was saying, like I think, so like my argument of like scientifically, it's definitely life, right? Like it just is, like that's what it is. Yeah. The argument, where I say the ish thing is, I don't think we should have, like here in America, it's legal, like it's legal to have like an abortion, like that's the thing you can do, and so. I don't think we should just make it illegal. Like that's not a better solution to the problem, because then we're just going to have unsafe abortions. And it's not like making it illegal is going to stop people from having abortions. That's ridiculous.
I agree with that, but I don't think that people who disagree with it should have to pay for it. And what I mean by that is like tax funded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and well, so you're talking about like the tax of the Planned Parenthood thing. Technically we're not. Technically, Planned Parenthood doesn't. Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, it just dropped off for a couple of seconds, but keep going.
Yeah, technically, abortions aren't tax funded. Like technically, that doesn't happen, but the facilities are like. Well, yeah, but that's all they Planned Parenthood facility. It's not. Yes, pretty much, it's all they do. They're the only ones that do abortions. Pretty much, like the percentage of who does abortions, Planned Parenthood does the most of them. They don't. That's not all they do, but they're the ones that do it. And so when it's like, okay, we're not funding the abortion, we're funding the building. It's like, okay, well, how else are you going to do the abortion without the building? You know what I mean? Like, technically, yes, abortions are not being funded by the government, but the building is. And so it's still enough.
It's a loophole there. See
totally.
That little loophole they're trying to get through? Like,
happens all the time.
yeah, we're not paying for them, but we're just funding the building. Like nothing
Yeah.
wrong here.
Yeah.
But
And
if you look at was it Margaret Singer?
Sanger.
Yeah, the
Sanger.
one that set it up. Like
Yeah.
she's quoted in
Her whole goal is to exterminate the black people, like the
yeah,
blacks.
she
That's her
called them
goal.
black weeds.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and the bitch was at KKK meetings and,
Yeah.
fucking shit like that. You can literally see photos of her giving speeches in front of a bunch of hooded fucking KKK fucks.
Yeah.
But she's put on some fucking pedestal.
I will say that is yeah, that's true. That's all true. I know when a lot of conservatives like to say it's like, yeah, but the person who started pretty much started Planned Parenthood was racist. It's like, okay, yes, he was a horrible person. The people running Planned Parenthood aren't trying to kill black people now. Like that's not a thing that they're not sure. It's an argument to bring up, but I don't think it helps conservatives' case when they bring that up that much because I don't think it's the issue. It's an issue. It's a thing to know that people should know, but it's not like the main issue with the problem. Like my thing with the abortion thing, like what would be my preferred solution would be, since I'm sure you know of the man Andrew Breitbart, his famous quote, "Politics is downstream from culture." Mm-hmm. So if you want to change the politics, you have to change culture. And right now in America, our culture is abortions are good. If we can change the culture to abortions are bad, then you can start doing laws. Don't start changing laws until people are less okay with abortions, because that's just gonna, if you do it the other way around, it's just gonna cause way too many problems and a massive headache, and it's not gonna be a good thing. And so that's why when I say it's like, I don't like saying, one other thing, I don't like the terms pro-life or pro-choice, because that assumes motives to the other person you're fighting or debating, and I don't like putting motives on whoever I'm talking to. So I don't call myself pro-life. I don't like it when they call themselves pro-choice, because I don't think they're anti-life, and I know I'm not anti-choice. I'd rather say pro-abortion, anti-abortion. It's probably the more accurate.
Well, I think Steven Crowder has the best argument for that when he says he is pro-choice. He's pro. He's got a list of like 5 different things. I can't think of what they are off the top of my head.
What is it? Abstinence, contraception, adoption, family, like actually raising the kid, and then the 5th one is not on the table, which is abortion. Like that's what he says.
Yeah. Well, the thing, like, when it comes to adoption, my cousin's adopted, and we have such awesome fucking relationship. Like, we're closer than any other cousin that I have, right?
Yeah.
And like, I always make the argument that had of her mother, for whatever reason, decided to, decided to have an abortion, then that relationship would no longer exist.
Yeah, that's
what I mean?
terrible.
And it's just like, I think about all the people who don't exist because some silly little bitch got got in her head that she wanted to, you know what I mean, like wanted to go get some procedure
no, it's
done.
terrible. It's
Anyway,
I agree.
So anyway, like, I think we'll end that. I think we've been talking about that for about 15 minutes. So just try and move on to something a bit more, I don't know, cheerful, if that, for lack of a better term. Pardon me.
Right.
All right.
Moving away from abortions.
Yeah. Onto something more. Let's talk about the death penalty. No.
Cool. Something nice and light.
Nice and light. Yeah. But you mentioned Jordan Peterson before. What are your thoughts?
What are your, I don't know. Like, you can almost see there, that is the sleeve for 12 Rules for Life. I actually have the actual book next to my bed because I'm reading it right now. I've probably seen. I think I can say this. I'm not positive I can say this because I don't own the internet and my brain isn't hooked up to a computer. But as far as I know, I have seen every single video Jordan Peterson has uploaded, and I have seen every interview he has given with someone else, like outside of his channel, and every speech he's given that's on YouTube. The only thing I haven't finished is his original Maps of Meaning course on Harvard. I'm still going through that. That's the only thing I haven't done. Other than that, I've heard. Huh?
Like, there are 3 volumes of Maps of Meaning. There is 2015, 2016, 2017. What I decided to do is I downloaded all 3, and then like number one, matched them up. So listen to 2016.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then just went through it like that.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
think it took
Have
me
you
like
listened
2 weeks, but yeah.
have you watched the Harvard ones yet? The one that he did in the
Um,
'90s.
no, I don't think I've watched. No, I don't think I've seen those ones
They're
yet.
very
No.
interesting because they're
Yeah,
very early. It's a young Peterson. It's very strange.
yeah,
Sorry, but
yeah.
no, yeah. So the reason I say is, like, I'm obviously a big Jordan Peterson fan. I saw him
Mm.
when he started his tour in LA. I saw him
I saw him
live.
live. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, it was great. I
Oh,
met
yeah,
him.
yeah.
I shook his hand. I tried to get. I talked to him and I was like, "Hey, man, how would I get you on the podcast?" And he gave me
Mm.
his card. I emailed him. Never emailed me back. So
Yeah,
Peterson, if you're
yeah.
watching this for no reason, you should talk to me, man.
Yeah,
But
dude, I've sent that many emails to Jordan Peterson. It's not actually. It's getting. I think it's getting a
yeah,
bit stalkerish at this point. and
yeah. I
they're
said
all pretty much like, please come on my podcast.
Well, I got like his actual manager's card and everything. Like I was like, oh,
Yeah,
cool,
right.
this is gonna happen. I remember when because I usually wear like a battle jacket with like patches of bands and pins all
Mhm.
over. And I remember him saying is like, yeah, you're like the most interesting dressed here because everyone at the event was like, buttoned up. Everyone was nice, and I'm over there with like a fedora on and like a chain wallet with
Yeah.
Metallica
Hey, chain
patches.
wallets are cool, man. I still have
Yeah,
mine sitting around here
yeah. So like
somewhere.
I'm all metal headed out, and like everyone else is like super nice looking, and I'm like, so I was like, cool. I made an impression on him. He said something about my outfit, and he still never emailed me back, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, I guess
Anyway, yeah,
he'd get emails constantly. Like,
yeah. I'm
like,
not even
yeah.
upset about it. It's just like because my podcast we talk about like video game stuff and
Mm-hmm.
like nerd culture stuff, and I thought it'd be interesting to get like him on talking about the psychology of addiction and video games and like why people are so interested in video games
Mm-hmm.
in the last 30 years, like what has happened in culture to do that. I thought
Yeah.
that'd be interesting.
I
But
think that has more to do with people getting like distancing themselves because, well, when you're a young kid, it's nerve-wracking to go up and to approach a girl and sort of do all that sort of the whole uh, initiation. You understand what I mean? And like
yeah,
I remember as a
talking to
kid,
people
like
thing.
I've never had trouble talking to people. Like the reason I do this podcast is because a friend of mine once said that we're at a party and we got separated for whatever reason, and he came out the back door and he's just like, oh fuck, where'd Leeson go? And then he goes, what I did was I closed my eyes and listened for the loudest fucking voice in the room, and then I found you. So, like, I even when I was younger than that, my parents tried to bribe me. They were like, we were on a trip to go see my grandmother, and they're like,
Yeah,
Chris, I'll give you $20. All you have to do is not say anything.
yeah, I get
Just
that all.
sit there
Yeah,
and be fucking quiet. I
I've my
couldn't do it.
whole life have been the annoying kid who can't stop talking. Like
Yeah.
that's me.
But
Yeah,
what I was
I get
getting
it.
at is like it gives a sense of fulfillment with these like video games. I'm not a gamer. Like I've played Deadpool. The two games I
I'm
can tell you I have.
I'm wearing a Commodore 64 shirt. It has the boot
Jesus.
logo
Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
Commodore 64. Like I'm very much a gamer.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
so,
I can say that 3 games that I have. Well,
huh?
so 4 games. Age of Empires, Deadpool, the South
Hmm.
Park game, the Stick of
Yeah.
Truth,
Yep.
and some DC online game, and that's the only 4 games I ever really play. And honestly, like for me, I love to write, I love to edit videos, I love to podcast,
Hmm.
but it just feels like when I play a video game, like I can get fucking sucked right in.
Yeah.
It for me, it's almost like heroin. It's just like don't
Yeah.
do it because you know you'll like it. You know you
Yeah.
like it too fucking much. And like I'll sit there and when the Deadpool game came out, like I did nothing but just sit there and play it. I thought this is awesome. It's funny, oh there's Wolverine, get to smack him around, and
Yeah.
like I really got right into it. And then after I finished the game, I realized I've been playing it for, I don't know, a month or whatever it was, and I was just like, I haven't written anything. I haven't, like, and I
Yeah.
sort of felt like that whole, I just wasted all this fucking time. And I think
Yeah.
that's my main thing when it comes to video games. But when it comes to, like, it gives you that false sense of achievement, is what I think,
I don't think it's false though. Like I know what you
no?
mean by false. It's not like a real world achievement, but it's still a character building achievement. Like it still
Yeah.
affects you. Like I know I've played video games that have made me almost tear up. Like I play a lot of games, right? And so like
Yeah.
they have changed my life. Like the way I'm trying to write 3 books right now, like because I'm insane. And I and like most of them like or the most of my inspiration writing these books, like they're sci-fi stuff, so really nerdy stuff, is from video games like Portal and Borderlands and like BioShock and Call of Duty Zombies. Like they're just they are inspiring and they do affect me. Like, and there are real world achievements in that they affect you and you don't forget them if they're good. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, as I said, like, you know, it felt to me that I wasted that time. You know, I'm the very much the same way. Like, I
get it, because you start a game and then you finish a game and nothing changes around you. Like the world is the same. And
but you sit down and write a book or edit a podcast or something like that. You have something, you know what I mean, that you can sort of present to people.
It's hard to do that with a game.
Yeah, what are you going to present to people? Like, you know, go on Facebook. Oh, I just finished Deadpool. Click.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the game. Like I said, like see, what's a good example of one that's like changing enough for that most people would probably agree with. BioShock Infinite's probably a good one. BioShock Infinite is such a good story, and it's told in such a way where you can leave that experience feeling the same way you feel when you finish a good movie or a good book. The problem with the game is that it's usually longer than it's definitely longer than a movie, usually longer than a book, or at least as long as a book. And
well, it depends on the book, of course.
Yeah, it depends on the book. Depends on the game.
Pace is a little bit
yeah, Gulag Archipelago is 2,700 pages. Like it's good luck trying to find a game that has that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I have 500 hours in some games, but anyway, that's the point. You can leave BioShock Infinite and have that like feeling of like, I feel different now. Like you have experiences, you have memories, you have an outlook of things because the story is told in such a compelling way where you can leave that game and you're kind of a different person now. Like you learn things about yourself, about the world. You see things in a different way. You can problem solve differently, not because video games change your IQ or make you whatever. That's not how that works. But it's more
character building.
It's character building, and then you take that onto yourself. Those characters and that story and that world. And so I get why people don't do it. It's it's fun. It's real fun. I have my Nintendo Switch right there with too many games on it, and E3's next week, and
I remember growing up, my dad brought us, because my parents separated at an early age, and when I think I was about 6, and my dad brought us a console, right? What was it, Nintendo? I think it was the original Nintendo. So it goes to show how fucking old I am. But, we brought the Nintendo game, and me, my brother and sister never got to fucking play it. My mum sat there all the freaking time, just like playing Mario, and then you'd finally get a crack at it, and then she's like, "Go behind the thing. You got a special? No, just give me that. Let me show you." And
that's really funny.
She's like, "No, don't let me. No, I know what you're gonna do, Mum. You're gonna steal the fucking game, and I'm never gonna get to play." And it's almost what
you were like sabotage from an early age to just not even touch him.
I think I'm a little bitter. That and for some reason, as a kid, I was under the impression. Do you remember the duck shooting game from Nintendo?
Yeah.
You used to get
Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt. That's it. I was under the impression that gave you real money. Right? For some reason.
No, it does not.
well, my parents just set me up a bank account, right? And then they brought home this game. You know, because I'd saved up all my money, and like, you know, we went out and we brought this, you know, fucking game. And down the bottom, it gives you a score, but it gives you a score in dollars.
Yeah.
So I was under the impression I'm fucking rich, man. Like, I just made $200. Then like I'd go to my mum, like, let's go to the store. I want to buy a new G.I. Joe or Batman figure, whatever it was. And she's just like, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, well, I can. I've just played Duck Hunt for an hour, you know. And she's just like,
really funny.
Do know,
man, I'm gonna tell
money.
You something that's gonna blow your mind because I guarantee you don't know this.
Okay,
so you know Steam, right? Like PCs.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Steam there are trading cards, and the way that you get cards is the more games you play. Like when you buy new games and you play the games, the longer you play them, you get trading cards. And Steam has their own little marketplace. It's kind of like it's kind of like, I call it baby stocks. It
Okay.
works the same way. It works the same way stocks do. And so you have a trading card for a game, and you get the card just from playing it randomly, right? And you get the card, and at the bottom it says like, this card is worth right now in the marketplace 9 cents. You can sell that card for 9 cents, and then you get 9 cents.
So you actually be able to make. I always thought that an awesome game would be pay you in like Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin. Like some sort of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Because have you heard of DTube?
No.
It's a video platform. They're trying to. It's only in beta form at the moment, so there's a bit of glitches here and there, and I'm always trying to upload videos, and they say, unknown error. What? But anyway,
That's helpful.
They pay you in Bitcoin, or they pay you in Steam. What do they call it? Steam something.
Bitcoin. I don't know.
It's like Bitcoin. Like it's their own cryptocurrency.
There's Ethereum. Those are the only two I know. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's other ones though. Litecoin. That's another one.
Yeah, it pays you in that.
Crypto.
So
cool.
in cryptocurrency. And like it's actually Adam Kokesh. I don't know if you've heard of that fella. He used to be. I actually did a podcast with him.
I saw.
It was actually my very first podcast, and dude, I was so fucking nervous. Like I started this podcast because of people like him, Luke Rakowski, even Alex Jones to a certain degree. I was just like, because I wanted to talk about conspiracy theories and shit like that. But I really drifted away from conspiracy theories because what happened was you'd always ask, well, who are they? Because it's just like, they are putting chemicals in the water. They are doing this. And who are they?
Have you watched the Alex Jones interview on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I have, when he gets high.
Oh, that is a like so mandatory funny watch for every human. Yeah. It's so good. And anyways.
Yeah, no, actually, Adam Kokesh was on Rogan's podcast as well. This is back in the day before he set up the new studio, and I think he came on a little hard because he's like, you need to join the revolution and and Rogan's like, well, I don't think I have to join anything. And, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Rogan's very kind of off on that stuff. Yeah.
And where was I going with that? And it was Kokesh who was telling me, he's like, you need to get on DTube. And I'm like, I have nothing but trouble on DTube. They keep putting errors on my video, man. And he's just like, oh, well, it's in beta. Like, and he's like, I didn't know what to say. But
that's funny.
He's actually running for president over where you are. And the whole idea, he wants to dissolve the entire U.S. government.
Yeah, I'm not he's radical libertarian, is what he is.
Well,
I am not that. He's total anarcho-capitalist, radical libertarian. I'm not that. I'm a boring classic Reagan, Ben Shapiro conservative. I'm very I have anxiety and I don't like too much change.
Fair enough.
Where I'm at.
That's pretty a big change if you look at it like that. But he made a good point. Like, when the government shut down, how did people's life really get affected?
No, yeah,
it didn't at all. Like,
I have a lot of sympathies and like agreements with the like libertarian side. Like I considered myself libertarian for a while, and then I realized I'm not at all. Because I do like some of my government. It's sometimes they're good. We need laws. We need them sometimes.
I understand that, but at the same time, man, when they encroach on certain things, like
for sure, everything
locking people up for smoking a joint, it
doesn't happen as much.
Stupid to me.
That doesn't happen here as much as like people say it does, or it did. Like it was a thing It was a thing for a little bit, but it's totally not. It hasn't been a thing for the last like 30 years, really. Like locking people up for a week. It just doesn't happen.
Well, there's a guy in Australia who's got a life sentence because of pot.
That's crazy. That's insane.
He's actually an American citizen, but he was smuggling pot into Australia and all that sort of shit. And I don't know if you've heard, but Chappelle Corby, have you ever heard that name?
Mm-mm.
Very famous over here in Australia. She went over to Indonesia, and they found an ounce or probably more of marijuana in her boogie board, right? But the thing is, there's no real evidence that she put it in there. And they're more likely that it was her bag was used to smuggle. Because look at it this way, man. pot over in Indonesia is a lot more. I think if you were to buy pot in Australia and take it to Indonesia, you'd get a lot less for it than if you had done it the other way around.
Got it.
So there's no real incentive behind her doing it.
Yeah,
and,
I get it.
And she said for years that she was innocent, but still, she got like 10 years, 15 years in an Indonesian prison, man. You know, and then when she came out, she's not allowed to do press interviews and stuff because they say that because she was arrested, she's now making money on her crime. And then that's actually a crime here in Australia.
I see. You know, that's very strange. Wow, your government's crazy.
We're fucked, mate. We're fucked. Like, you know, seriously.
Hey, speaking of really messed up countries, do you want to talk about the Tommy Robinson situation?
Yeah, actually, I had an article here all about it. That is absolutely bogus, man. I woke up that morning because there's a bit of delay between UK and Australia as well, and they said, "Oh, Tommy's been arrested," and da-da-da. I got so fucking angry that I tweeted up a freaking storm like, free Tommy Robinson. And it's so ridiculous. And I think I understand what happened. But, okay, for people who don't understand, do you want to tell the story on exactly what happened?
Yeah, let's see. To the best of my knowledge. So there was a Muslim rape gang. And by that, I don't know the specifics. I don't know if it was related to like them being Muslim that it's a rape gang, or it was just a bunch of Muslims or a bunch of people who have to be Muslims. Anyways, they were in a legit rape gang. Like they were on trial in court, like at this moment, like, or at that moment when this all went down, being tried for this. Like that was happening. And Tommy Robinson, and they're in the UK, they have laws where depending on like certain groups, if a certain group of people who are in their eyes protected because of whatever reason, if they're on trial for something, the UK can make it illegal to report on certain things. Report on the trial, report on certain things relating to it because they're afraid that it will interfere with the actual trial itself, just reporting on it, right? And so Tommy Robinson, because he's a free speech absolutist, thought, that's ridiculous. I'm going to go to this courthouse right now and go live stream, report on this because no one is talking about this. People need to know that this is happening in their country. And so he went there, live streamed it for, I don't even know, like 10 minutes or something, like not even long.
No, it was actually an hour.
An hour? Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, longer than I thought.
Okay. For about, I think it was roughly about an hour.
Oh, okay.
And he actually got some of the people coming into the court and but he didn't film the family. Like a couple of times, like he'd held the camera up and they're like, we're just here to support our family. Oh, okay. And he'd turn the camera away. So,
He was just reporting on the trial. Like if it was related to the trial, he would report on it. That's it. Like that's all he was trying to do was tell people this is happening and I want to show you that this is happening. And so I don't know the specifics of how the police came. Do you know? Like why did someone call them or did they tipped off or
they were there. Like
they were already there.
Yeah. And there was one stage, one of the accused. You know, it's just so because Australia is very still linked to fucking UK, so I could get arrested. I could probably get arrested for talking about this shit. But
man, I'll support you.
Well, go out there, man. But I'll send you an email. They've got me, bud.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, they were there to guard the place, and one of the accused were walking in and actually shoved him, right? Like shoved Tommy Robinson and pushed this other woman out of the way. Now you can't really see it, but you can see like the camera getting jerked like that. And, so you can't really see that, exactly the full punch or push or whatever it was. But
something happened.
Exactly, and
some physical altercation happened.
Yeah, and he walked straight over to the cops and was like, oh, this bugger just punched me. What are you all going to do? I'm trying to do an English accent, it's not working. But they just punched me. What are you guys going to do about it? Oh, we didn't see anything.
Yeah,
didn't see anything. And I just remember thinking, you fucking lying pieces of shit. And what was strange is like when he got arrested, what I think happened is throughout the entire video he's saying the alleged, and then just before they nabbed him, he didn't say alleged.
Ah, that's fun.
I think like I have no proof, one way or the other, but I think that's where they got him. I think that
they probably wanted to for a while, but I guess maybe he was doing it in such a way that technically was legal in their eyes until he messed up once, and then that was like, all right, we got him now.
Yep, yep. But there's photos of the judge and two cops standing up in the building, like the judge that was prosecuting the case, looking down. And when he was getting arrested, they had this smirk on their face, and
Nice.
like, we've got the fucker. And like, honestly, man, you want to fucking piss me off, smirk at me. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why. That's just my little trigger,
I get it.
for lack of a better term, man. I
I
hate
get
that.
it.
I think it comes from my little brother. He used to fucking do that to me all the time. Like, just that little, like, he'd punch himself and go, "Mom!" And then Mum would
Oh
come in
man.
and fucking yell at me, and then, I get in trouble. And then as she walked away, like, I've
Wow.
got you.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of thing coming back from there. But there's a photo of them just standing there smirking down at him, and the fact is, he got arrested, and put in trial and jailed within 4 hours.
Yeah, that's
They didn't
the
even have time to call
terrifying
his
thing.
attorney.
Yeah.
No lawyer. Well, he had a lawyer, but one of those court
Court
appointed
ordered.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? Like, he comes my conspiracy theory part. My brain kicking in, but
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, this is such a weird, because I usually try to stay away from like conspiracy. Again, like I said at the beginning, like I don't like putting motives on people that I don't know, and unless you tell me that this is your motive, I'm not going to assume anything. That being said, it's pretty fishy, this whole situation. Like, yeah, most likely they would give some sort of lawyer that's just going to try to f him over. Like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't tell his lawyer, his family found out that he was even arrested. They found out he was arrested after they got home from work and saw it on the news.
Yeah.
Or they got contacted by someone. But after
it was like after the fact, yeah.
After the fact, and there was nothing they could do about it, and they wouldn't.
Yeah, they
even
took
tell
away
him.
his phone. He wasn't allowed to tell anyone. Like the person I saw, I think, was Lauren Southern was the person that I saw that broke. Well, in my sphere, broke the news. I don't know who was the one that showed it first, but she was the one that I saw first. And after that, I was like, this is terrifying, like absolutely terrifying that this happened.
Yeah, there's a fellow in Australia here, Avi Arad, or shit, I'm messing his name up. He's an Israel guy, pardon me, and he was the one that I saw the video, and it was just like Tommy Robinson arrested. And I was like, what the fuck? Clicked on the video, and he's just like, he's Tommy, got arrested, and then by the time I stopped watching that and started watching the hour-long video, then went back to like more news. He was in jail, and but
what is it? 13 months, right?
Yeah, and the fact is, he got beat up severely last time he was in jail.
Yeah, he got really beat up because if you guys don't know about Tommy Robinson, he's not a big let's see, how do I word this? The Muslim community aren't fans of Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, he's not a big fan of Islam,
either. So there's a little bit of beef between the two, and there's a relatively large amount of Muslims in jail over in the UK. And so last time he was imprisoned, he totally got beat up by a bunch of them. And I said that the way I worded that made it sound bad. No, it's okay.
I know.
I got beat up by a bunch of them.
I know what you meant, but what scared me was the embargo that was put on the news.
Well, before even that, I want to say about him getting beat up though. He after during the trial, during Tommy's trial, they told the judge hey, are you afraid that Tommy's gonna get beat up again? He could get killed in there. And judge literally there's transcripts of this out. You can read this. That the judge didn't care. He pretty much said yeah, that's totally a possibility. I don't really care.
Yeah.
And he might get killed. Who cares?
I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words because I actually did a bit of reading about what these guys were accused of doing, and it is some of the most horrific fucking. I was going to do an article for Unbearable's news network all about this, but someone beat me to the punch, and I was like, "That's fine, man. You can write about this because I can't stand to even read this stuff up, man." There was one girl. I don't know how what it's like in America, but young girls, 16 and that, an older guy starts coming on to them. There's a bit of an attraction because they're an older guy. They're not boys, type of the mentality. I've got plenty of friends who were dating 22-year-olds when they were 15, 16. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
Like
weird. It's definitely
but
weird here, but it's not like
yeah,
the worst thing you can do. It
yeah,
15 is illegal and weird and
yeah.
not good. But like 18, like if you're 18 and you like are dating like a 30-year-old, like it happens.
Yeah, like I don't care if you're over 18, you can make whatever consensual thing you want to, but
Yeah.
like what I meant to say, what I meant by that was I understand this mentality of a young girl being attracted to an older guy, you know.
Yeah.
But what happened was this one of these guys who were accused, you know, texting back and forth, come meet me. Then she went and met him, and then he's like, hey, let me take some photos of you, like, you know, just take your top off. And
Yeah.
stupid little bitch, that's what she did. And
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, you know, like, you know, but yeah, but come on,
I
man,
know what
like,
you
you
mean.
know,
Yeah.
anyway, so she took her top off.
Silly child.
He,
Yeah.
yeah, she's only a kid, so I shouldn't really say much, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's a stupid freaking act. So he took the photo. Then he's just like, well, you know, if you don't fuck me, then I'm gonna fucking send. You know, I know who your parents are. I'm gonna send this photo to your parents and show them what you've been doing. So the girl's like, oh shit, you know. So she fucked him, and then not only that, he filmed that as well. And then
And how
he
old was
took.
she?
She was only like 15. You know,
Yeah.
she's only a kid, 15, 16 at the most,
Yeah.
or 17 at the most, I should say. But then after that, he said, "Well, I'm still going to send this thing to your parents unless you have sex with my friends."
Yeah,
And
that's
then he
ridiculous.
just passed her around to
Yeah.
all these different dudes. And
I
then
remember I remember reading about that.
yeah, and then there was another girl who Tommy Robinson was talking about on the live stream before he got arrested, had her tongue nailed to a
Oh,
board. You know what I mean?
God.
There are other cases where the fathers know that their daughters are inside
Yeah.
these buildings, and they bring the cops, and the cops arrest them,
Yeah.
and they're like, my daughter's in there right fucking now being raped, and you're gonna fucking arrest me. You know, I don't blame for Tommy Robinson for saying, you know what, throw caution to the wind, man, because he had
No, dude, people
he
need to
had
know
that
about that. That's
probation
ridiculous.
thing on him, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was that for? That was for something I can't remember.
I don't
But
remember what he did. Something.
yeah, yeah, he did, yeah. But he was already under probation, you know, so he was sort of throwing, you know, he was risking, you know, jail term by simply
Yeah,
being there and all
he
that.
knew
But
what he was doing. Like he knew that that was illegal. What he was
mm,
like technically what he was doing was illegal because it was illegal to report on that, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is such a horrible thing, and people need to know that that's happening in their community. Like that's ridiculous. Two, he knew he was on like already on probation and stuff. Like he knew
mm,
if he gets caught, he's going to jail. Like he knew that was going to happen, and he
yeah,
did it anyways. He's like I know people
yeah,
are
but
calling him a hero and stuff. I don't like throwing the word hero around too much, but
mm,
like what he did was relatively heroic. Like he knew he was going to get arrested, and he did it in the name of free speech, which
yeah.
is super commendable.
It goes back to what Jordan Peterson says, you know, the old idea of the, you know, person going out to face the dragon. That's exactly what
Yeah.
this was. And he knew exactly what was going to happen to him had he got caught. He even said in the thing, like, if I get, you know, caught today, I'm going to jail.
Hmm.
And it's just like, when you hear some of these stories and, like, the testimony of these kids, it's just like, fucking, I want to do something. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like fucking, I just think that maybe I just don't have the balls to fucking go out and do shit like that, you know. But
Yeah, that's the thing. It's one of
uh,
those things. Like, man, if like I don't think I would. I don't
mm,
think I could. I mean, I probably could, but I don't think I like, if that happened in my area or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if like
mm,
I would be the one on the front line like him, but we do need people like him doing that. Like, they need
yeah,
to exist. Like, it's one
yeah,
of the reasons I liked. Oh man, I don't want to. Never mind. I was about to make a very silly comparison. I'm not going to do that.
uh,
But there are people that I think put themselves out there in such a way that I think is super commendable. Tom Robinson is definitely one of them. Lauren Southern does that too.
mm-hmm,
Brittany Pettibone,
mm-hmm,
although I'm not a fan of identitarians, but her and her boyfriend or whatever do that too, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
disagree with them, but that's fine. They can do it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like I'm glad that they do what they do,
mm.
and
And well,
yeah,
uh, going to Lauren Southern, she got banned from the UK,
yeah,
right?
literally
Because
banned from the UK
you know what
for
happened with
making a
that with her,
joke.
right? Yeah, well,
Making a
it's
joke.
not wasn't even necessarily a joke. What she call it? Social commentary or
Yeah, it was a
social
joke.
experiment, or yeah,
It was
yeah,
a
yeah.
joke. It was fine, and that's fine. Like it
But
was. I
yeah,
don't know if people know about that one. That so there was an article that came out, I think Huffington Post or something.
No, it was Vice.
Who was it?
I think.
Vice.
I think it was
yeah, you're
Vice,
right.
Yeah.
You're right. And they put an article saying how like Jesus was gay actually, and like it was a whole article talking about how Jesus was actually a gay person.
Yeah.
And so she went to England in like a very heavily Muslim area and put out a sign like a la like the Change My Mind series that Crowder does, and just puts on it, Allah is a gay god, and she just sits there. And
and then
I
the cops are like, you're provoking. Oh no, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like you know what you're doing there, but But,
and she gets arrested for that. Literally,
and banned from the country.
And banned from the country, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
She can never come back to the UK, which is, wow, that's insane.
Yeah, and so I remember seeing some posts online because she's very much about closing borders and stuff like that. And all these smart ass dickheads, online going, ha ha. What's it feel like? Someone who hates, doesn't like open borders, and now.
It's like, well, her thing is not about closing borders. It's about protecting borders from illegal immigrants. Nothing that she did was inherently illegal. I mean, I guess it's illegal in Britain to do, but it's ridiculous what if it was. And she wants people who are illegal to not come into the country because, that's not how, like, she doesn't want people to illegally cross the border. What she wasn't doing that. She wasn't, like, illegally crossing any border. But now she got banned from the UK, even though. So, yeah, when people say it's like, it's the same thing, it's like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Very different situation.
It's just so weird, man, that fucking we now live in a world where England, it's 1984, man. It's just out of a George Orwell fucking novel,
Yeah.
The place that came up with the Magna Carta, the place that was number one for freedom of speech, for freedom of movement, has now fucking turned into this totalitarian
it's really bad.
Fucking collapse of a society. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. Like, not that I'm going to fly over like fucking Superman and try and do something, of course. But I don't know what the solution is.
I think the best thing, like Peterson says, like Robinson says, like all these other people say, is just like, just keep speaking your truth. Like, just keep telling the truth. Just keep speaking. Like, keep doing what you're doing the podcasts. Keep saying things that you believe to be true, and even if it ruffles some feathers, and I think we got to keep doing, because their whole goal is to stop dissenting ideas. Let me rephrase that. It's not. See, the left is not trying to. They don't want to silence dissenting ideas. They want to silence ideas that they believe are harmful. They legitimately believe what Tommy Robinson says is harmful. It's not like they're not out there thinking, oh, I don't want like a different opinion out there. That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking what Tommy Robinson says will hurt people. That's what they legitimately believe.
Man. We learn as a kid the whole sticks and stones.
Yeah.
Like, words can't fucking hurt you unless I'm on the left.
Exactly.
And
so we have to show. We don't want them to, like, if we were to stop talking, like, it's not. I don't want to say it lets them win, but it'll just keep happening unless we keep fighting back, kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, and like it happens incrementally. Like everyone expects. Like, one of my favorite. Bit of a throwback to Star Wars and shit. One of my favorite lines in I think it's Revenge of the Sith, and it's Padme that actually delivers it, and she's just like, "So this is how democracy dies."
Democracy dies, yeah. With the thunderous applause.
Yeah, with thunderous applause. And seriously, that's how it happens, man. Because people, and I think who was it? Thomas
Sowell?
No. I'm thinking no. One of your old founding fathers, Edison,
Jefferson.
Jesus, I can't fucking think of the concept. Benjamin Franklin, maybe. I think it might have been Franklin. He said, if you sacrifice freedom for security, then you should deserve. You should get and deserve neither. And the idea is like,
If what is it? If man, I know the quote too. It's a good quote. When you give up freedom for
security.
For security, you get neither. That's what it is.
Yeah. You get and deserve neither, I think the entire quote is. And that's so true. But everyone expects, it all to happen overnight. Like, you know, we'll go to bed, you know, and the birds are chirping outside, and they wake up to the from of the fucking armies walking down the street. And it doesn't happen like, it doesn't really happen like that. It happens incrementally, and that's what they did here in Australia. They took away the fucking gun laws, and now we're fighting hate speech laws. Like, there's this fella, now I don't agree with him. He's very much, I wouldn't say he's Aussie Tommy Robinson. He's more, the dude's pretty much a fucking white nationalist and shit like that, you know, so I don't agree with anything he says. But he put a tweet out, and now he's going to jail. He posted something on Facebook, and now he's going to jail. And
it's ridiculous.
I don't want to sound like I'm fucking defending him. I'm just defending the fact that fucking, now, today that's him, right? What about tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know, like, tomorrow it's going to be somebody else posting something a little less risque. And then
you gotta also look like, with our country, the left, I hate saying the left, but whatever, the left hate Trump. They're not fans. And yet they're trying to give the government, and they support Canada and the UK's decisions to give the government more and more power to silence people. It's like, okay, look, if you don't like Trump, right? You don't like what he does. You don't want him in power, but you're trying to give more and more power to the government to take away guns, to take away your speech, to take away your ability to tweet. Like, literally, you will go to jail for tweeting. For reporting the news. Like, you're literally trying to give the government more power to stop you from doing these things. And then you have Trump in the office. Like, oh, we don't want Trump in there. It's like, okay, look, the whole point.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
The whole point of, like, America and, like, our founding fathers and the Constitution and everything, the Federalist Papers, is our founding fathers knew that, look, the way our government is set up, every 4 to 8 years, there's going to be a new guy in there. You might not agree with him, right? Like, you might not like him. I didn't like Obama, but I voted for Trump. The first president I ever voted for was Trump. Like, that's...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I didn't like Obama, and now we have Trump in there. I would never vote on something that would give the president more power. I would never do that, because we might get another Obama in there. We might get Bernie Sanders in there. We might get Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
think
want...
Alex Jones made that argument a few years ago. Like, you know, even if you don't like Obama, and he's like, I'm not saying that Obama's going to be the one that, he's implementing all these, executive orders and shit like that. He's giving himself all this power. He goes, I don't think it's Obama that's going to carry out the all these shifts, but it might be the next guy or the guy after that. You know, and this is way before Trump or all that sort of stuff. He's like, but it might not be the guy who's in office that's implementing these things now. It might be someone down in the future that starts implementing it. And I think that everyone keeps getting confused with the right and the left and shit like that. When they call people on the right Nazis when they are national socialists.
All right,
here's socialist in there, man. Like,
I don't disagree.
Thing.
No, it is though. The Nazis were right wing. It's not the right wing that you think, though. Right wing is like left wing and right wing are such large terms. Like, another thing that I disagree. I guess before I continue, I don't know if you've noticed this too. I'm conservative. Like, I consider myself on the right. But
I think you said that like 4 times, dude.
Yeah, right. Anyway. I don't know if you realize that. But no matter who I talk to, I'll find a way to disagree with someone, because I move around a lot with my opinions and stuff. And like, one of the things that I don't agree with, like, the right side is when they say is like, man, they're called nationalist socialists. They're obviously on the left. It's like, there's nothing really okay, there were socialist implementations that the Nazi Party did, but they were nationalists first and foremost. Their whole thing was the motherland. Or the fatherland, I mean. Motherland is Russia. The fatherland, like, that was their thing. They cared about Germany first. They were nationalists, which is why I don't like nationalists. I don't like identitarians. I don't like nationalists. I like patriotism. I don't like nationalism, because nationalism leads eventually to something like Nazism. It is a right-wing thing. It's not a left-wing thing. Anyways, sorry.
I only get that from people like Owen Benjamin, who sort of maybe...
Yeah. Maybe, I love Owen Benjamin.
Oh, but, yeah, he's fucking great, man. Oh, I'm meaning to ask, have you got your bear name yet?
Yeah, well, I did the, not an official one. Official one, he hasn't said it. Owen Benjamin hasn't said it yet. Audio Bear is what I would like to be called.
Audio Bear, right? I'm Buckaroo Bear.
Pretty
Because
good.
I'm part of a group here in Australia called Buckaroos. They're gonna hate the fact that I'm fucking this up.
Nice.
It's Buckaroo something, and they're a Jordan Peterson group, right?
Okay, cool.
But the
problem, yeah, like Bucko, yeah,
yeah, Buckaroo. Man, I can't think of it. Anyway.
Buckaroo lobsters. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's sort of where I got the name from. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but I feel that fucking one of the number one thing is the Adam Kokesh doesn't agree because he thinks that the Constitution gives the government more power, but people have to have certain rights that that have to be above the government. Now, whether that be in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, maybe I'm thinking more along the lines of the Bill of Rights, but we don't have anything like that in Australia, and that's the main problem. Like this fella's again, I don't agree with. I can't even think of his name, but he's going to jail for putting something on Facebook. I don't agree with anything he says. He's a fucking nationalist. He's no different than the fucking.
Yeah, that's how I feel like with like Richard Spencer, for example. Like I think Richard Spencer, I obviously disagree with him on a lot of things, but I do think he's a smart guy. He's well articulate, and he knows how to speak, and he's good at speaking. That being said, man, I don't want to see him getting punched in the face. I don't want to see him getting arrested for what he says. I don't want him to go away. Like, I want to keep hearing. Like, I saw him debate Sargon a while back, like I don't know, like 6 months ago, and that was like an amazing debate. Like, and I want to see more of that. Like whoever guy you're talking about, like same thing. Like, I don't know who he is. I'm sure I'd like to,
his name either, but yeah.
But I'm sure I'd like to see him because even though I'd probably disagree with him, I like seeing people from all sides. I follow freaking like my Twitter. Like if you go to my Twitter and like see who I follow, there's no way to judge who like what side I'm on. Like I follow Bernie Sanders, I follow Obama, I follow everyone. Like and I follow Trump and I follow Ted Cruz and I follow a bunch of actors and comedians who constantly post a bunch of political stuff I disagree. I probably follow more leftists than I do conservatives on Twitter. Like, so most of the information I see is not most of it, but a lot of the information I see on social media is from the left. Yeah. And my point. Oh yeah, my point was like,
sorry.
I think what you're gonna say, it gives you a perspective of like seeing all different sides, and so I want to see those sides.
Yeah, exactly, and people can get focused into a bubble. And that's what I think, like, whether you're talking about the hard left or the alt-right or whatever, it's because they've shut themselves off. And somebody like Richard Spencer, he capitalizes on the fact that fucking, you're a white straight male, so, well, obviously not you, but, because of the color of your skin, you're responsible, the patriarchy, all those things that Jordan Peterson got in trouble about.
Richard Spencer totally took all that stuff and was like, yes, I am all those things, and that's good. Like he literally totally flipped it around. He did the identity, and what Peterson talks about all the time of like, he doesn't like Peterson says like, I don't like identity politics. I don't like if it's on the left. I don't like if it's on the right. So you have like the leftists like Hillary Clinton with her whole campaign trying to do, and Obama pretty much like he totally ruined this freaking culture in my country and just Western culture in general, like having this social justice stuff implemented into young people's brains. You have like the identity politics on the left, right? And you also have it on the right. You have it with Richard Spencer. You have it with what's the other dude, the British dude? Man, I can't think of his name. I don't know. There's a bunch of other. I don't like him. I don't like any of the. One of the things like I always.
They're as bad as the Black Lives Matter mob. By focusing on such a minute thing, like such a trivial thing as I said before, the color of your skin or your sexuality, it just seems fucking stupid. Like to me at least, I want to talk to the individual. And what I found when I started doing these debates is that, I'm not talking to a person here anymore. Like I'm talking to an idea. Like this person has like, and it's something that Jordan Peterson said a long time ago that I didn't quite understand up until I started doing these debates with people, which is people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And I didn't quite understand that until you start arguing with these people.
I think that's a Nietzsche thing, actually. I think that's Nietzsche's quote, technically.
Oh,
yeah,
well, okay.
But Peterson does talk about it all the time. But Peterson talks about it all the time,
yeah. And but that's the thing. Like, I never really understood that until then. And there's what's the thing that Owen Benjamin's always talking about giving both sides of the argument. I can't think of the
cognitive dissonance. I don't
know. No. Shit. He does a joke about his father. He studied it, and damn it, I can't think of it. But the idea is his father said to him when he was young, and it's part of the joke that he's got, that what do you think on blah topic? And then he'd give him all right. Now give me the other side of that argument. Well, I don't know. Well, if you don't know the other side to the argument, then you have no right for your initial view because you don't see both sides.
Good way to look at stuff, and I try to do that too with all my stuff. Like I've tried to do, hopefully, like shown in this podcast alone. Like I try to show both sides. Like even if I disagree with one, even though if I disagree with it, like the abortion argument, for example. Like I personally am pro-life, right? But like I understand the other side. I know it I know that pro-choice whatever side very well. Like because I constantly every day try to watch stuff. Michelle Wolf, for example. She's the one that did the comedian that did the White House Correspondents' Center. The chick with the crazy high-pitched voice. I really like her. I think she's an amazing comedian. I think she's very talented, and she's really good. She's just a good comedian, right? And she has a new show on Netflix, The Break, and it's very much a leftist show. It very much is, but it's I've been watching it the last few episodes, and I'll watch it again this week, and I'll watch it again next week. It's just another thing I try to watch that's so on the other side. It's very much far left, but I try to watch it because I need to know their side.
Yeah, well, I get a little angry when I'm watching a TV show and they're pushing an agenda, and what's like I don't really. I watch a few TV shows, but I've got my select few. You know what I mean? Like. And usually it's, if they got a silly costume, then I'll watch it, like my favorite shows were Arrow and Flash and, that
I used to watch Arrow.
Yeah. And it got to the point with, I think it was Supergirl. She starts off every episode saying, and I'm a refugee. And that only happened after Trump got in.
That's
right?
fun.
They had Linda Carter on one of the episodes. She played Wonder Woman back in the day. Well, of course, I don't need to explain that to you. But she played the president. And there was a joke by Supergirl who's like, "Oh my God, she's so awesome. I don't know why anybody else could think about voting for the other guy." And it's just like, you're giving me a fictional world. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fucking Hillary Clinton is not Wonder Woman.
No, not at all.
But you can see the sort of lines that they're trying to fucking make. And I think the only one that's actually done that well was Arrow during gun debate episode.
Like, man. Oh no, not Arrow. I saw. Have you seen The Punisher yet? The show on Netflix.
Yes.
That's the gun debate one that I really liked. There is a whole arc, pretty much like a couple episodes. They talk about like the whole show talks about like the gun stuff, which makes sense. You can't not have talk about guns in The Punisher. But
exactly,
there was a lot of it, like showing both sides of it. And it was very interesting to see the way, because look, it's Marvel, it's Disney's Marvel. They're not fans of guns. I guarantee you, everyone that worked on The Punisher were not fans of guns. Not everyone, but I'm sure a lot of the people who worked on the show were probably struggling to try to show it's like, man, we don't like guns, but we got to portray this character as someone with guns.
Sides of the argument.
Yeah, and they did a good job. And you can tell when you're watching, because there's a whole episode where they're doing like literally a debate about guns, and like what's her name? The reporter chick. I can't remember her name.
The one from True Blood.
Yeah, she's in all the Marvel stuff.
The redheaded girl.
Yeah, but anyways,
I can't think of her name. Yeah.
But she gives her argument about like, I carry a gun now. Like she didn't used to, but now I do because of all this stuff that's happening to me. And the politician is like, yeah, but what about this? And it was like a cool little debate, seeing both sides play out live in the show. Like, it was good because not only was it wasn't preachy either. It wasn't like, here are the opinions of me. I'm going to tell them to you. It was more like, we have a plot, right? We have a story. And in the story, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And one of these sides is the pro-gun. One of these sides is the anti-gun. We're gonna play out both stories at the same time and see which one comes out. And we're just gonna show like real world situations or examples of not real world, it's the Punisher, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
I understand what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, like see examples of how it plays out.
Yeah, it's more of a grittier show, so they sort of try and balance that thing where it's not just some green monster knocking down buildings or you know some guy throwing a frisbee.
I love the Punisher. I love that show. It was.
I thought it was really good. Like you know,
that was another show that almost made me tear up a little bit. It was real good.
Yeah,
real good.
I can't. I'm trying to think. Like when you said tearful, I was like, oh, what was the last show I got tearful at? It had to be like I rewatched Neverending Story a couple of weeks back, and that whole with the horse sinking into the fucking sand and shit.
Yeah.
I can't stand that shit, man. Like fucking, I'm like, yeah, just pull him up, do something. Like, anyway,
that movie is brutal.
Oh yeah, man. Like fucking, I absolutely love it. Don't bother with the sequels. The sequels are shit. But anyway, fucking, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, you said before Andrew Breitbart's comments about politics being, politics being downstream from culture, or was it the other way around?
No, you got it right. Politics are downstream from culture.
I think we need more shows that give that sort of balance,
and
they don't exist, and that's what I was getting at with the Arrow and Supergirl comment. And I have nothing against refugees or anything like that, but I am a closed border guy. You know what I mean? Make sure you know who's coming in when they come in. And like we have a problem now with this place called Manus Island. A lot of people from supposedly Syria and Africa and a few other countries like that were put there because they weren't allowed in the country. And my point was, Australia is pretty fucking far from any of those countries, you know?
Yeah.
And the moment that they go from, like I think Stefan Molyneux made this point perfectly. There are countries set up in and around there that actually do take the refugees, Turkey being, a prime example of that. But the moment you leave that, you're no longer a refugee, you're a migrant. You're migrating, and and like there's I'm gonna get I can already hear the people yelling at me in the comment section who agree with Manus Island and all that sort of shit. But we recently had Australia Day about a month or so ago, and one of our local churches put up and one of the slogans for Australia Day, we celebrate the Anzacs, which are our vets and shit, and one of the things, least we forget. The idea is like, these guys went out and fought battles and they died for, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, you might not agree with the war, but you don't necessarily disagree with the people who are fighting the war. You know what I mean? It's not them that actually organized it. They just got either sucked into the propaganda or whatever. For whatever reason, they...
I mean, that's the whole thing that happened here with, like, Vietnam. Like... in the 60s with like the hippie movement, like literally spitting and like throwing trash and beating up military people because they disagreed with the war. It's like, man, they didn't like, they were drafted. Like they didn't even want to go. Like,
well, that's exactly right. But this church over in Melbourne that's copped a lot of fucking criticism just of late, they posted, least we forget, ... Manus Island. And it's just like, this isn't your time to do this, you know what I mean? Like, fucking stop. Like, just knock it the fuck off, man. Like, today is supposed to be about remembering their sacrifice. Not some fucking guy who fucking left his wife and children behind, to come come all the way across the equator to a fucking island out in the middle of nowhere, Australia. Anyway, fucking, it just pisses me off that fucking, that they're going to take this day that's supposed to be for something and then use it for their own agenda. And that really fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, it's very annoying. We have, so in California, we're starting to have a lot of, because we're having our, like, local elections going on right now. Right? Ours just passed and stuff. But there's a lot of, like, on a lot of the ballots and stuff, a lot of different cities are trying to, actually surprisingly, because it's California, are fighting against being sanctuary cities. Because we have a couple of, it's very interesting to see like a lot of cities and counties in California saying, no, we don't want to be sanctuary cities for these illegal immigrants. It's going to hurt our economy. It's very interesting.
My point about like, illegal immigrants, like, I have nothing against immigration. Immigration's a good thing. Like my great, whatever it was, grandfather came from Germany before it was even called Germany. Because he saw the fucking tensions building up. He's like, oh, gone. See you later. Jumped on a boat, and he was actually headed over to America. but for some reason they passed Australia. And it said, I've got a little book around here somewhere that actually wrote out his history and then like his lineage and blah 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 blah. I get one line. I was always pissed off about that. I was like, what? Oh, I'm just the kid of Brian. What the fuck is it? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the story is he was coming past Australia. He's like, that place really looks nice. And then when they docked, he's just like, and then just sort of walked off the boat.
I live here now.
Yeah, exactly. So, and people are like, see, you're a hypocrite. You're technically, from an illegal immigrant. Yeah, but at the same time, what I don't like about it is not knowing who the fuck these people are. And then when you get reports from the UN stating that ISIS will use these type of fucking refugee crises to invade Europe and invade Australia and invade the West in general, it's like, well, okay, let's at least give a background check, maybe. You know what I mean? And if you've got a guy and he's there, and they claim that people who are 21, 22, 23 are children.
Yeah.
No. I look at the refugee problem, crisis, whatever, just like a sinking ship. Women and children first. Mm-hmm. After that, we'll deal with the dudes.
Well,
might sound a bit sexist, but
no, it's. Here I am playing devil's advocate, kind of.
No, go for it, man.
The problem with that I see is like, what if you have a perfectly intact family? What if you have father, mother, child? Do you take just the mother and child, leave the father behind? What if the father's the one literally like supporting the family? Like, what happens? Does the mother now have to take up? Like, what does the father do? Does he just have to smuggle money into the country to support his family? Like, how is that going to work?
In a situation like when it comes to that, it's just about processing. And that's all I'm talking about. And when it comes to Manus Island, it's just about processing. Eventually, they're going to be reunited, But you look at people who fled Venezuela and Cuba, for instance. Like I've just watched a podcast with, I can't think of the dude's name, Stefan Molyneux's show. And and his family was separated. And because when they were at the airport, the army literally grabbed the father and dragged him off. But it took a while, but the family was eventually reunited. I'm not saying we do anything like that. What I'm saying is we process the men first, because you look at statistically, and this is
no, you're totally right. Yeah,
but it is the men that are doing it. And when somebody comes in claiming to be a child, but they're 22.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm 20.
Wait.
I'm 22.
Yeah, and it's just like you're not a kid anymore, man. It's just like, stop lying on the form and saying you're a kid so you get to the front of the line. That's pretty much what I'm sort of getting at. And I do agree. I do agree with you. I don't think we should be separating families, but at the same time, man, we've got to be careful.
I like Trump's plan actually. Like
he
a lot of the
stuff
stuff
that on Australia.
Huh?
He actually based a lot of that stuff off what Australia is doing.
Yeah, the point system thing.
Yeah.
I love that. Like the idea of just like, if you can speak English, you get a point. If you have a degree, you get a point. If you're in engineering, you get 2 points. If you're in whatever, like, I like that system. We get the best. Like, I think that's a better, and it's not like a racist thing. It's not like it has nothing to do with where you're from at all. It's just, if you are objectively better, and here are metrics where we can objectively quantify how you will help the country, then you come in. If not, I don't know, get better, get a degree.
Yeah, well,
and
exactly.
And I understand. And then again, the devil's advocate thing of me is just like, yeah, I get it. What if you're in like a country that will, like, to quote Trump, a shithole country like Haiti or something, where
I don't know if he actually said that though, man.
Even if he did,
they're claiming that he did, but I don't know. Like,
I think he did.
You think he did?
I think he did, but the context of how he said it, I think, is what matters more. I think the way it worked was, hey, look, if we're going to be taking, I think he was just talking about the point system thing. Like, if we're going to be taking people from these shithole countries, can we at least get the best? Like, that's pretty much what he was saying, which I agree with. But the thing is, like, what if you're in like a country like a Haiti or something, or whatever, some war-torn country or something where it's harder to access those. Yeah, right. Like, what if it's harder for someone in whatever country in Africa to get a degree in STEM than it is for someone in I don't know, Germany or something, like, you know. And
well, yeah,
I
you
don't know.
mentioned
I don't know what
South
to do about
Africa.
that.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
No, I was saying I don't know what to do about that. That was really much it.
Yeah. Well, you talk about South Africa, and you know what you follow law in Southern, so you obviously know what's happening with the
You
fucking
know what's
South
happening with the
African farmers,
farmers.
and
Yeah.
yeah. One of our pollies recently came out and said, "Hey, man, we should extend invitation to these, farmers, and and give them asylum here in
Mm-hmm.
Australia." The left lost their fucking shit because we have Manus Island and shit like that. They're like,
Yeah.
so you invite them in, but you're not,
I can see why it's like well, I can see why it's like, yeah, we want these
yeah,
white farmers, but we don't want these other people. I can see that
yeah,
exact thing being said.
yeah, but at the same time, it's just like, but I thought you liked refugees. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, I thought
I
you
thought
guys
you.
were in favor of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not in, then you could easily enough make the argument to them and say,
Mm-hmm.
you're just not in favor because they're white. You
Mm-hmm.
see how that, and that's and then I think it was, I can't remember the fella's name who initiated it. He eventually just backed off from it and said, oh, well, we just won't do it. And it's just like, but these people are in jeopardy. And we have I don't disagree, again, I don't disagree with bringing people in. We just got to make sure that assimilation works, as you said, like the point system. Do they speak English? Yes. Well, white South Africans speak English. Do they have a degree? Well, they've run a farm for fucking 3 generations, so yep, they're pretty good there. We're mainly agriculture pardon me, here in
Yeah.
Australia anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone assumes we're desert, but you get around the fucking skirts of that. It's all farmland and stuff, especially
Mm-hmm.
around the town that I live. Um, anyway, my point is that we should help the people, again, probably based on a point system, but like the ones that really need help. You know what I mean? And if you're leaving a war-torn country, that's one thing, right? But if you're extending a hand, then I think that's a little different than just accepting what has been quote unquote boat people that
Yeah.
come into Australia. And like people always like say, well, what do you think about the border? Like ask me what I think about the border, and I lay out, yeah, we should test on who comes in and da da da. But at the same time, we have the best moat in the world. So
Yeah. You're literally an island.
yeah, exactly. So I highly doubt that and another thing is you have the people smugglers who actually bring the people in to begin with. So that's another fucking trouble.
Which is what Lauren Southern and them were trying. Unplug my phone. That's what Lauren Southern did. Was it last year, right? Where she tried to stop the migrant boat or whatever. Which a little much, but I get why.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a complicated issue, and I'm not
Totally,
saying
it's
that
not
I
an
have,
easy thing.
and I don't have all the answers, but like I consider myself libertarian, but when it comes to the border, like they got an open border policy, and no, I don't,
That's really funny. I
I
don't know.
don't agree with that.
Is that a libertarian stance? Dude, libertarian's so weird because I don't
Yeah.
know. You can make a libertarian argument for open borders really easily.
Oh yeah, but
So
you
I don't
can
know
also
because I don't know
yeah.
what's libertarian, open borders or closed
Well,
borders. I don't know which
open
one.
border. No, they want open borders. They
Okay.
and so it's more of a left leaning thing.
Yeah.
The way I've always looked at it is like I've never been on the right because there's so many things on that side that I don't agree with. You know, but over here in Australia, we just initiated gay marriage. Like that just happened less than a few months ago.
Yeah,
And
that just happened for us a couple years ago. Like it wasn't.
yeah,
It's not like it's a relatively new thing for a lot of
and
countries.
I supported that. But
Yeah.
as I'm supporting it, I'm seeing people on TV going to local churches and stuff like that protesting, and like fucking banging on priests' windows and it's getting real ugly, almost like what you'd see on a Milo Yiannopoulos,
Yeah.
protest. You know what I mean?
I
It just
remember
gets
him.
yeah. Everybody does. I wonder what happened to that guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've invited him on the show. I haven't heard back from him, but anyway,
He's not doing anything.
yeah, exactly. You're not busy, but what turned me against it, and I even made a podcast about this with a friend of mine who's Christian, and he doesn't agree with gay marriage at all. So I thought, oh, this would be cool to have that, a bit of debate. I'm not going to say he changed my mind whatsoever, because I still agree with gay marriage and it went ahead. So, and my stance
Doesn't matter
still
now,
goes.
yeah.
But he made some good arguments when it comes to, attacking people for not agreeing with the whole stance on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, you might be against it. You might be for it, but that doesn't mean you have the right, just like you said before about Richard Spencer. You don't have the right to attack that person.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea with libertarianism, is it's the non-aggression principle.
Yep.
That you don't initiate force against somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I agree with. You don't initiate force against somebody else. And it turns out it actually wasn't the Christians who were fucking putting up all the, let's say no. It was actually two main groups. The Muslim groups in Australia, and surprisingly enough, the Vietnamese.
Interesting.
For some reason, the Vietnamese didn't want to have and it's just like,
the Muslim one I get. Islam's not a fan of the gays. Vietnamese is new to me. That's interesting.
That took me by surprise, actually.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
When it came out that a majority of Christians either abstained from voting, they said, no, we're just not going to do it, to, literally going out and saying no. But what I found is a lot of people abstain from voting, even if they wanted to vote yes, because of the violence they saw of of these people who are protesting churches. And, it's just like, well, if you want to be fair, go protest the mosque. Oh, well, that's racist. Yeah. Well, come on, man. Islam.
Yeah, it's racist against it's racist against these Islamists. It's like that's not how dude. Okay, so I was arguing with someone on Instagram a couple months ago, and it got to the point where I was talking about Islam or something like that. That came up for some reason. I don't remember. I really don't remember the context. But at the end, this person told me, was like, that's racist, and I told them Islam is not a race.
Yeah.
Is not a race. And they responded with, racism is an all-encompassing term. It includes religion and gender. And I was like, that's literally, it doesn't. Like, scientifically, it does not include those things.
So if they had criticisms against the Catholic Church, is that racism?
No, apparently not. I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
According to their own definition, it is.
They're postmodernists. They don't believe in objective reality anyways.
Some of this postmodernism shit is just blowing my fucking mind, man.
Real fun.
Joe Rogan has a really good podcast with, what's his name? Something Wolfman. He's a postmodern professor. I can't think of the guy's name.
I think I saw this. I saw like a 30-minute clip of this guy who's like, he's like super postmodernist dude, right? Yeah. Like literally teaches it.
Yeah, and it's just like, this guy is making no sense. And you can see, like, Rogan just sitting there like, what? Like, he's just not understanding anything this guy... Like, there is a subjective reality to things. Like, this table is real. I'm sorry, but it is.
You mean objective, but yeah.
Okay, there is an objective reality, like, this table is real. Oh, yes, but on a level, fucking, there's only air between those fucking molecules. Oh, for fuck's sake. If I can do this, then it's solid. Like,
like Peterson says when he likes to be a little, what's I can't think of the word. Crowder does this too. Reductive, which is not a bad thing. Being reductive in your argument is not a bad thing, but like Peterson and Crowder like to do a lot. Like, look, you have to define what is real. Like, I'm sure you saw the debate between Peterson and Harris.
Oh yeah. That was before
what is true?
I really started getting into Jordan Peterson. Like, I was looking for interviews, and that was one of the top interviews. I was okay. And I remember putting it on, and I was sitting there with my brother, and my brother turned around to me, and he said something that I didn't want to say, which was, I don't know what they're talking about. Because I hadn't really done a deep dive.
It was a mess.
Oh, yeah, and like, my brother's like, I really love Jordan Peterson, but at times I don't know what he's talking about. And I was like, I'm a bit of a dumbass too. He uses a lot of big words and like fucking concepts that I'm like, I don't.
He's kind of a smart boy. I get it.
And like logos, like it took me forever to understand what logos meant. Like,
one of the things that took me forever was his concept of not genderizing, that's not a term, but like placing gender on things like logos and nature. Like when he made this video, it's one of my favorite videos from him. I've seen it so many times. Where in like 15, like halfway through, he starts crying and stuff. It's I think it's a New Year's letter to the world. I think that's what it was. It was that.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's one of his best videos, and I watched it so many times because I didn't understand it, and I do now because I've seen everything that he's done pretty much, and I understand his arguments now. But him talking about pretty much how you have logos, which is the masculine, and you have nature, which is the feminine, and you have culture, and all that stuff. Like that concept took me forever to understand that from him.
Yeah,
because it's like, what do you mean it's gendered? I don't get that at all. But now I do.
And he's talking about archetypes and stuff like that. And
very complicated stuff.
Well, one of the things I always wanted to talk to Peterson about, and it's going to sound weird, is Batman. Because I think he really incorporates the idea of the Jung shadow self.
Yeah, totally.
Like that idea of like, and I tried to explain because I had this. I'm starting a new job in like next week, and I had to do this course and all this sort of shit, prior to starting. And I remember sitting there, and I was talking about Jordan Peterson. And like, I honestly, I came across like a religious fundamentalist because my arguments were like trying to, talk about how God was just a amalgamation of different tribes, sort of coming together and taking aspects and da-da-da-da. And I was using Hercules as my example to that, like how Hercules is the representing of the strong man, but he also has 4 different deaths. I don't know if you know about this, but I love Greek mythology, and he has 4 different deaths. And the reason he has so many different deaths is because he's just an amalgamation of all these different characters into the one. Yeah. And I'm trying to explain all this to him, and the people sitting there listening are like, "Oh, you're not going to convert me. You're not going to convert me." I'm not trying to convert you. I'm just trying to have a conversation here. And
I know. I get that all the time.
That wall, that shield that just comes up when people think you're talking religious talk.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I'm talking about archetypes.
Yeah.
And they just don't quite understand.
Well, you remember, you have to also understand, like Peterson, even him, it's not like he can explain the stuff like quickly. Like he has his Bible lectures, and the first one is 2.5 hours long. It doesn't even get to one line of the Bible. It's a long process to explain his ideas and stuff, which is why it's so hard to understand sometimes, because you can't just watch a Jordan Peterson video. That's not how that works. I
think the first video I saw of him was that that little he, she, him, whatever it was, came up to him and was like, "What do you think of the Nazi protest?"
That was the first thing I saw from him too. Yeah,
and he's just like, "Well, I don't like Nazis."
Yeah, I don't like that. Dude, that line got me. I was like, all right, this is my guy.
Yeah.
I don't like Nazis. Like, yeah, that's
and then
great.
She didn't know what to say to him though. Like, she's like, they were here, and and he's like, "Well, okay, and he's like, "Well, maybe they were over there." I'm guessing he's thinking, "Well, maybe they were over there, but I didn't see no fucking Nazis here."
Yeah.
What I found so interesting about Jordan Peterson is literally he's able to confront these people and still be calm about it. Yeah. I mean, you saw that debate that he did with what was his name? He gets called an angry white man.
Yeah, that black dude, that
what's
priest.
His name?
I can't remember his name at all. I don't remember his name at all. But total postmodernist priest, which is very strange.
Tyson. Michael something Tyson.
Dyson, I think.
Dyson. Yeah. Gad Sad has an awesome video. He goes, the vacuum guy. The vacuum guy. He keeps referring him to the vacuum guy.
Great.
But honestly, like, I think that's the most angriest I've ever seen Peterson get.
I've seen worse.
Oh, really?
They're out there. It's very hard to watch when Peterson gets mad, because it's almost like when, I don't even know. It's like seeing Santa like punch something. It's like that's not right. That's not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, but
it's very strange, but it happens. I've seen it.
I I can't keep my composure with certain things like that, man. Like I'm pretty sure you've even seen me in this interview go from up and down. You know, like
it's been fun. It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, well, I haven't got like really extremely mad. Like I did this one video that I never really posted because the entire time, and if I rewatch it, I'm fucking red faced and I'm screaming and like and it's like no one's ever gonna see that one. And like I admire people who are able to keep their cool, especially in a debate, because I find that if I get angry, then suddenly I'm losing track of what I was saying, and like then I'm off onto another tangent, and like
well, one of the things that like made me, because after I started because I started getting politics stuff, lost a bunch of friends, and then I found Peterson. Like I found religion, whatever. Like I say it like I found Peterson. It's like,
but a lot of people describe it like that.
Though, no, totally, and I agree. Like I get it, but one of the things,
like it's like finding religion is like finding a voice. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people say to him, and I've heard people like not that I know the dude, but like I've heard people say to him, "You explain things like I understood this, but." I never was able to articulate it, and that's exactly how I feel about it. And I think that's how people sort of relate him to religion, because religion, in some aspects, not all, of course, but is able to articulate certain things that they're not able to articulate.
I would say that's what religion is at its basis. Like that was the point. Like at least I can speak on Christianity. Like that totally was the point. The people who wrote the Bible weren't scientists. They weren't trying to tell. They weren't trying to explain to people, this is what the world really is. It's like, no, man, they're trying to understand things. They're philosophers, is what they were.
Yeah, exactly.
But
sorry, what was your original point? Like,
when I got into the politics, I lost a bunch of friends, and then I found the religion of Petersonianism, and
we need to start a church.
Yeah, It's one of the things he was saying was one of his main things of like. Before, like, one of his rules, and the 12 rules is clean up your room before you criticize the world, which I need to do. Clean up your room.
I'm looking around here going,
clean your room thing. Like, look inward first. Like, try to make yourself better before you criticize the world. And that was one of the things that hit me when I was like, oh, I messed up here. So, like, one of the things that I realized about myself when I was starting to get into this politics stuff was I'm a nerd, all right? And I get obsessed over things really easily. So Game of Thrones is a perfect example of this. I have watched Game of Thrones. I've watched Game of Thrones 6 times. I'm reading the books right now. I'll probably read the books a million more times and watch the show a million more times. Like I
refuse to read the books until he finishes.
Oh, that's fun.
I hate untold, like unfinished stories. That really pisses me off.
Too bad, because you're never gonna get them probably. No, I'm kidding.
Oh well. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
But my point is, I get obsessed over things, and so like when I went down this politics rabbit hole thing. I got obsessed over it, and I wanted to talk about it. And when I did, it came out like an angry nerd talking about Star Wars, because that's what I am. I'm an angry nerd who talks about Star Wars. But I did that with politics, and it was a little. I didn't realize at the time until like later that like I'm being very abrasive about this. Like I am being annoying. I'm just spitting out things that no one cares. No one cares about. The people I was talking to, like they don't really care about the gender weight gap. Not like I did. Like I. Thought of it like, no man, but here are the facts, like here are all the things. I was like, this is so cool, right? And they're like, I don't care. Like, but you need to. And one of the things that I admire Peterson for, and like one of the things that I'm trying to do a lot better, and I think I've gotten a lot better about it, is when I talk about this stuff, I try to be less angry nerd about it and try to be a little more calm when I talk about these things.
I found myself doing the same thing when it came to conspiracy theories. Like, I'd be sitting at a party, and then
the last thing you want to do is be an angry nerd about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, exactly. And you start talking about that stuff, and then it almost became a catchphrase between me mates, like just like, oh, here he goes again, like here he goes again. And sometimes they tune out, but other times they didn't. But what I felt really helped with the conspiracy stuff was that backlash that you get. You know what I mean? And dealing with that backlash. I mean, one of the first, and I talked about this with Adam Kokesh. I keep name dropping like fucking. I probably shouldn't get Peterson on this show, because I'll just be like.
Then he'll never stop talking.
I talked about Jordan Peterson. When I talked to Jordan Peterson, and that's all.
All my friends hate me because I can't. like anytime they ask for advice, because I don't know why they always come to me for advice. It's always been that for me. Like all my friends come to me for advice. It's weird because I don't have any life experience. I stay in my room all day, but they always come to me for advice for some reason. And every time I mention Jordan Peterson, they're like, "Okay, we get it. You watch a lot of
You're a
band.
fanboy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally like my whole vocabulary is Peterson this, Peterson that. Like I saw this thing on Peterson. I saw this podcast. Anyway, sorry.
Well, no, you're right. What happened was I was at a family reunion, lack of a better term. It was a barbecue that we were having. Some cousins were coming down from Melbourne and all that, and we started talking about just the distribution of wealth. And I was trying to explain to him, like, without taxation, you'd have more money in you, and the entire night, I was just constantly, two of my uncles were just, berating me. Just like, every time I'd mention something, I'd be off on a tangent, arguing something that had nothing to do with taxation, but that had something to do with something that I said.
Yeah.
So, 20 minutes later, I'm like, so anyway, back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
What about this? And what I found what really helped me when it came to like the whole conspiracy thing, and I don't necessarily agree with all the conspiracies. I agree that there are conspiracies out there. Like people do conspire to do shit like that. That's happened since the dawn of fucking time. Like if you and me like fucking decided, oh, I really don't like Joe B. All right, well here's how we fucking get rid of the guy. That's a conspiracy. We now conspired to get rid of Joe B. Whatever. But what helped me was just the idea of being constantly attacked, like fucking and what I found was like, it gives you a bit of strength. So when I eventually fucking made my way out of the conspiratorial woods, so to speak, and into the open paddock of Jordan Peterson's light, there we go, another church reference, but anyway, that I was able to make the arguments that I wanted to make without really caring that I was being attacked. You know what I mean? And like I still remember when Trump was running for president, like when he first announced that he was running, I was at a mate's place having a few drinks, and someone started bitching about Trump. I was like, hey, I don't mind Trump, and all the heads like straight on me, like,
I get that a lot.
He grabs pussies, and I was like, don't you? Like, it's like, and I was like, you're taking that out of context, and that's what I wanted to get into as well. That audio clipping of that, grab her by the pussy, thing. Well, I've edited enough audio in my time, like here on the radio, bunch of other fucking places, to know when they've cut something. Because you can hear this, like, like tapping. I don't know if that came through, but it's like this like real sharp P sound.
Yeah, it's the cut. I mean, I'm an audio engineer. I have a degree in audio engineering. Like, it's literally just a cut in the waveform. Like, that's all. It's cutting in the middle of a. Oh, here goes my audio engineering degree. Go right on my head.
You're right.
Like when you're cut between like a compression and rarefaction, like when you see like the actual a cycle. There you go. When you're cutting in the middle of a cycle, that's what it is. There you go. Anyways, it makes a pop sound because your speakers can't handle going in and then quickly going back out. Like it can't handle it, so it just pops.
So I remember saying that shit's edited. I'm not. And they're like, oh, so you're saying he didn't say it? I didn't say he didn't say it. I said that just after he says it, you hear that fucking pop where they've edited the tape. He could have easily enough just said, oh, I'm joking. But at the same time, what he was talking about was not necessarily walking up to randoms and just like, how's it going, ladies? Type thing. But it was like having people throw themselves at you. And I made that argument. And they're like, well, it's not like he's one of the Beatles. No, he only has a few $1 million in the bank. And they're like, oh, women don't throw themselves at millionaires. Bullshit.
What about billionaires?
That was literally the argument they made. And I was just like, what a load of fucking shit. Don't you remember Anna Nicole Smith? Her husband was like 90 years old. She wasn't doing it because she was attracted to him. She was attracted to his fat fucking wallet. So there are women that throw themselves at powerful fucking men. And that was strictly my argument. And, oh man, you'd think I'd fucking killed their cat. Well, the way that bloody looked at me,
That situation it's not even, it's one of those things that like, I don't see, it's not one of the things. It's not one of the things I care too much about, like at all. Like like he said some silly things that I really don't like.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
but that one is such a like, man, look, there. It's so easy to like argue against Trump. Like my co-host on my podcast, like we had a whole episode. We have one politics episode. Everything else is gaming and like nerd stuff. One episode about politics. And we pretty much just talked about like I voted for Trump, he voted for Hillary, and we both get along. We're great friends, and it's so easy to make an argument against Trump. It's not hard. It really isn't. You can do it and be totally signed. Like Ben Shapiro, for example, you know, he's one of the greatest minds out there right now, and he's not a fan. You know. It's easy to, and he's on the right. It's really easy to do. But these people will pull things that aren't even that big of a deal. Like the grab by the pussy thing was not. It's not an argument to make. That's like talk about like his inconsistencies with a lot of his with his actual campaign run, where he'll say something in one town and then say something else in the other, totally contradicts it. Talk about his what's it called? Talk about what he said. Talk about all of the executive orders that he did. Talk about his the thing after Charlottesville. Like there are things to do. The way he handled that travel ban thing was terrible. The way he handled it was absolutely terrible. Like there are great things to say that, hey, I don't like this about him, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right. Those are bad things.
Do it on a case by case basis. Like, you know what I mean? And like. I recently, like, if you've seen the Adam Kokesh interview, I that was just after he bombed Syria. And that was the one thing that I support. Like, the one thing that one reason I supported Trump was because I didn't want that shit to escalate.
Yeah, and he did it twice now.
When he done, exactly. And I remember I was on holiday when he first done it, and I remember watching the news, and my brother's like, what? Because I'm the political guy in the family, so like, what does this mean? Like, you know,
I get that too. I get that.
I'm like, he's a fucking idiot. That's what that means, like, you know. And I went off my head. And then when Kokesh was on the thing, on the podcast, again, I'm name dropping, but when he was on the thing, I went off my tit. Like, you know, I fucking literally screamed and shouted for about 5 minutes, like, that fucking dirty motherfucker just. Fucking, you know, whatever I could fucking call him, I was calling him, and like, so people instantly after watching that, they're like, "Oh, so you don't like Trump anymore?" Ha ha ha! I was like, I didn't say that.
I get that too.
I'm angry, like that he did that. You know what I mean? And I'm
angry at anything he did. I can't. I never voted for Trump because I liked Trump. I voted for two reasons. I voted for Trump. One reason, I mean, one of the things was I agreed with his policies more than anyone else. Pretty much. I was going to go into there thinking I was going to vote for Gary Johnson, and at the last minute I kind of switched to Trump because Gary Johnson totally...
He's a bit of an idiot, man.
Kind of threw everything in the trash.
Like
for libertarians.
Like
and
the Aleppo thing, and then fucking he yells at that one reporter who says he's illegal aliens, and he just
and then after
him.
I saw a lot of people who like knew him and saying like he's just a very abrasive dude and like just would be a bad person like at the job, and I was like, all right. And then the second reason is because, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, talking about how like I've been tired of putting a box of you're black, therefore you have to think this, you're this, you have to think that, and I want that to end. I'm tired of being put in boxes like that because I'm this, therefore this, and Trump is just a good. It's like cool. I want to look. I live in California. My vote really doesn't matter, but I wanted to be part of that percentage of like
that said we're not all like.
I'm not.
Like that.
Yeah, we're not all Democrats here. Like I can.
And I'm not saying all black people, but all.
No, I know, but it's a large percent of black people who vote for. Huh?
California is a blue state, right?
Very much a blue state. Yeah. I live in a relatively conservative part of California, in like Riverside area, which is like Inland Empire is pretty conservative compared to rest of California, but it's not that much. But no, overall, California is very, very blue. Like there's no chance of Republicans winning here ever. Like except for this one thing, there's surprisingly large amount of people voting for not Cox, the other dude. I can't think of the other. Anyway, the governor or whatever. But that doesn't matter. Yeah. No one cares about the governor races. Where was I? What were we talking about?
We were talking about being pigeonholed into certain things just because.
And so I thought like voting for Trump would just be a good way to more of be a part of a percentage rather than be put in a box. Because I thought, like, look, I am not just like we don't all think the same. Here's another example of how we don't all think the same.
Yeah,
That's pretty
exactly.
much it.
Well, I get the same thing all the time, man. It's just like, you're a white guy, so, you obviously believe in X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, no, man. Like, again, going back to Peterson, he has the best, intersectionality is where that all that sort of shit falls apart. You know what I mean? Like, you want to separate people by sex or race, or what about black women?
Yeah.
And then he goes on to, oh, well, what about fucking, lesbian black women? Do they get their own sort of subcategory?
Yeah. What about lesbians who are like crippled or have like one child? What if they have two children? What if their husband is autistic? It's like there's so many things. There's no way to split it into. It's too much. I mean, eventually you get to the individual. You get to what the West already figured out 2,000 years ago.
And I'd even say Christianity even figured that out.
That's why I say like 2,000 years ago. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, sure, all right. But no, that's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is the individual themselves. And I can like hate on somebody because of their politics, but that doesn't mean that that's all that person is. You know what I mean? Like totally. Some of the friends that fucking don't talk to me anymore. I don't hate them. You know what I mean? I just think that they're wrong. Like, you know what I mean? And they think that I'm wrong. But they don't talk to me because there's a vitriol. I don't know.
Visceral.
No, visceral. That's it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not using that word correctly. I'm not saying something correctly. There's something wrong with that. But there's a visceral to it that, oh, you don't agree with me, so you're on the other side of the argument. Mm-hmm. No, you're just not making a good enough argument for your side.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Like,
look, I change my mind all the time. Like, all you got to do, it's really easy. Show me some facts. Show me some numbers. Show me a couple, like 3. Literally, just show me 3 papers. Yeah. I'll like cited papers that are like credible, and I'll read them.
Yeah,
3 is not. That's
facts
like
over feelings.
Yeah, facts over feelings. Yeah. Like, literally, it'll take me, like, 2 hours, and I'll change my mind. If you can show me compelling evidence on whatever topic, 2 hours, I'll change my mind. I will. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And they can't.
Yeah, that's exactly right,
or they
right,
don't.
man. And
it's not even that they can't. They just don't.
Well, they're happy in their own little subgroups, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, point the finger to the one person and all that, but fucking just the one, we were friends since probably year 9, like so, grade 9 feet. Or what I don't know what you guys classify it under, but when I was 15, so whatever.
Yeah. So that would be like freshman, sophomore for us, like high school, like starting high school.
Yeah,
for us.
It was high school. Well, this is 2 years after starting high school, so midway, towards the end there. Anyway, I remember like we were friends always since back then. Now, I go on, I look at the comments section, and I was like, I know that name. Why do I know? Oh, fuck, they're calling me a racist. Like, it's like, what? We've known each other how long? You know? And it's just like, you're calling me a racist? Yeah, obviously, I just woke up one morning and going, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck other races. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man, it's so fucking stupid. And I make the joke all the time. Like, there's this, Aboriginal fella that I shouldn't really. I know. I was about to say how I know him, but then by doing that, I point the finger at him. But he constantly, he called me a racist, and I just turned around to him. I'm like, motherfucker, I've eaten more black pussy than you have. Don't you fucking sit there and call me a fucking racist. And then like everyone started laughing, and I was like, oh, good, somebody got the joke. But it's not a fucking joke, man. Like fucking, I look at the individual person themselves, you know what I mean? But if you're so wrapped up in this identity politics, I even stole a joke from Owen Benjamin last time I saw this dude. And he's just like, well, you just don't know what it's like to be black. I was like, well, you don't know what it's not like you don't know what it's, like not to be black.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me like, well, and he didn't have an answer for that, And then
I hate that thing of like one of the things that I've never understood too of like the black thing of what if you're half like I'm half Puerto Rican, half black, right? Which so I'm 2 minorities in one, and and what happens if you're half white, half black? Like, what happens then? What do you?
It's almost like the Family Guy joke. They did an episode uh, where I think it was like a flashback thing where it wasn't actually their family, it was like their ancestors or something like that, and they were saying how Peter was linked to these black slaves because the owner of the
Plantation.
plantation, I couldn't think of the word, had sex with these slaves, and then
Yeah.
the kids came out looking like Stewie and all that. And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
one comment from Stewie who turns around and is like, I'm half white and half black. I'll be accepted by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost,
like the whole idea of like the white privilege thing. Like, what if you're half black, half white? Do you have half white privilege? Like, what's the percentage? Like, what's the percentage of how much white can you have in your system where you no longer have white privilege? Like, what exactly is that number? Like,
well, someone posted on my Facebook the other day, like going back to that intersectionality, saying even if you are gay or even if you are black, you have to like, and there was some woman who was a black trans woman, right?
Okay.
And
checking
there
two
was
boxes there.
There was a couple other boxes that this woman was ticking, and unless you don't like this woman, it doesn't matter if you're black or if you're gay, you're a bigot. And it's like, fuck me, like this shit just does not fucking end. Like,
no, it doesn't.
There was there's a viral clip online. You can go and see this woman, a member of our parliament actually, goes to this guy and he's trying to explain some law that he wants to bring in, or some sort of tax cut, something. He's trying to bring in something and he's trying to explain it to this woman, who turns around to him and is like, "Oh, are you mansplaining to me?"
Yeah.
And it's just like, and the poor guy's like, "What?" And you can obviously see that he's never heard the term before.
Yeah, it's not a real term.
Yeah, he's like, "Can you explain that to me?" And she's like, "Oh, well, yeah." And she's stumbling through the explanation.
Yeah.
And he just turns around. He's like, "Well, in that case, aren't you woman-splaining to me?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, where does this shit end?
Yeah.
And
this happened to me at work. I was playing a Steven Crowder video with and I was just showing one of my friends.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah, and so a coworker came up to me and was like, "Oh, of course you guys are watching this white straight man talk about whatever," and I was just like, "What does that have to do with anything?" Like literally that has to do with zero of his argument is the fact that he's a white straight man. Like nothing that he says has to do with that.
Because they can just dismiss it. Under their identity politics fucking game.
It's just a thing you can throw it out there as if it's an argument when it's really not at all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like fucking if I fucking said to someone like fucking, I don't agree with your argument because you're black.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're a gay black man, so I don't have to listen to your argument. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So that's so fucking ridiculous. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, well, you guys had institutionalized power. Who? Yeah. The Irish? Because they started off as slaves.
Yeah, the Irish weren't having a great time.
No. And then, like, even Darwin wrote in one of his books that the Irish were the lowest, were pretty much scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And it's like, they wouldn't sell that book in schools now.
No, Irish, Italians, all those things.
Okay, but they wouldn't sell that book in school now if he said the same thing about black people.
No.
If he had said, or any other minority for that matter.
Yeah.
Had he said the same bloody thing about them, then that book wouldn't be sold. But instead, no, they want to get rid of a Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah. Very ridiculous.
In Australia, it recently came out that they're changing. Like, I wrote an article for Unbearable News Network. I called it Melbourne Virtue Signal. And they're changing the lights in Melbourne, like the crossing to cross the road, to women to dresses.
That's great.
And it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're changing the lights? Why? Are there women just standing on the road going, I can't cross? Like, we're doing it to be more inclusive and to end, what the person who's bringing it in, to end violence against women.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because if you beat your fucking wife, You're gonna cross the road. And go, oh, that light has a fucking dress on it. I better not go home and beat my wife anymore. Oh yeah, that's gonna fucking work. It's so stupid.
It's very ridiculous.
As a friend of mine pointed out, she's like, well, I don't wear dresses. I fucking hate the things.
Yeah.
You know,
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Wyndham gets under them, and you get cold. And no, I like a pair of pants. Like, you know, and she goes, that's discriminating against women who wear, you know, who don't like to wear. Or what did she say? That's discriminatory against women who wear pants or something like that. You know, and it's just getting so fucking silly that I don't know where this thing ends. Where do we eventually draw the line? And,
I mean, the Gulag Archipelago is a good book to read.
I've actually got that. I haven't got around to it yet.
I'm slowly doing the audiobook. I've been slowly doing it for about a year and a half now, and because God, it's so long. It's so long. And but no, that's pretty much where that's what happens. Like the slow progression of everything is.
Well, speaking of books, like I just finished reading. I'm reading what's the name of the book? War is a Racket. Have you read that?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely brilliant, written by a general in the army and that. And as I'm just before reading that, like it's only it's only 20 pages. The other 150 odd pages are simply just fucking speeches and radio things that he done. So you can literally read the book in half an hour because it's only 40 pages, and the rest.
What is it?
It's called War's a Racket, or
War's a Racket.
Medley Butler.
Racket. Let's see. Okay, I'll check it out.
And it's absolutely brilliant. And he gets into the selling of war thing. You know, people, and this is what I sort of wanted to get at. If you want to focus on somebody, focus on the poor guys who you sent to a bullshit war, you know, and had their legs blown off. And okay, yeah, this book was written in the 1930s, so we're not quite like the old vet hospitals that existed at the time. But but still, man, if you want to take care of somebody, like, it's so sexist to me to say to women need to, you know, be taken care of, you know. It's almost like, what, they can't take care of themselves? What the whole fucking point was the whole women's movement if you're saying they can't take care of themselves?
Yeah, when people talk about, it's like, we need more women in whatever thing. We need more women as CEOs. Like, what about women as bricklayers?
Yeah.
What about women as trashmen or as people in very dangerous machinery jobs where if you mess up tightening a pipe too much, you get hit with 2,000 psi of pressure and then your leg literally gets sliced off.
Exactly. If we're going to
take more women in
care of somebody, let's actually take care of the people who really need taken care of, and not just some small minority based on sex, gender, or any sort of arbitrary fucking bullshit like that. And that's one thing I took away from the thing. That and the fact that America spent, you got just a little bit of a thing for that book. You guys were in $1 billion debt in 1901.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of World War I, it was $25 billion.
Oh, that's fun.
And all it was selling weapons to the fucking. I don't know why I got off on the tangent of that. I think what I wanted to talk about. You started mentioning books. The book that I was reading prior to that was a Clive Barker novel. I don't know if you've ever heard. You know, Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Candyman. He's the guy that made all those characters.
Got it.
And he's got a book called The Great and Secret Show.
Mm-hmm.
The main character of that, the one that goes off and faces the dragon, so to speak. Actually, I think there is it's not actually described as a dragon, but a giant monster, but still, same thing, is a woman. You know what I mean? And the thing about the book, and sort of link this back to what we're talking about Star Wars, is having to replace male characters with female characters in order to be more inclusive. It's like, while reading the book, I identified as that character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you can have a female character, and just putting a female, like Rey, for example, like there's nothing feminine about Rey, really. No. Like, the reason why I think Leia is such a great, here we go, two straight white men talking about women, whatever. But freaking the reason why I like Leia so much as
it's the bikini, mate. It's the bikini.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, why I think she's such a good female character is because she is strong, right? She is smart, she is cunning, whatever. But she's also relatively feminine. You know, she still feels like a woman. Like she's still a woman. It's not like Rey, where it's like, no, the only way Rey can exist is because she acts like a man. I get like Gavin McInnes talks about this, like where the what is it for Mad Max? That's what it was. The Charlie Theron's character in Mad Max.
Fury whatever her name was.
It like that wasn't. He was saying it's like the only reason why women like, or the only reason why people like that movie is because that character is that one. Like Charlie Theron doesn't play a woman; she plays a man.
Yeah.
Like and
well, what I really hated, like my dad loves Mad Max. Like I think it's the ultimate movie for him. I think it's the ultimate movie.
I don't know. I think Australians have to like Mad Max. Yeah, I think it's like recommended that you have to like it.
I'm not going to tell him this, but I'm not a big fan of Mad Max.
I love Mad Max.
It's fine. It's fine. It did its job, but
the new one's fine. Like the new one's like too much. Like I'm tired. Like I get tired watching it because it's so much. The original ones are great. Like the first two are amazing. The third one's okay, but anyway.
What made me say I'm done with? Like I literally halfway through watching Fury Road, I'm like, nope. And I got up and walked out. Was that scene where the dude's hanging off the side?
Yeah.
And then one of the girls is like, fucking, you destroyed the world. Not talking to him directly.
No, just
him as a man.
Yeah.
You did this. You destroyed the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not fucking. Nah, I'm done.
I don't know. I don't know if he meant it as that, but that does happen in movies, and it is frustrating when that happens.
And what I found, a funny thing that I found when they were promoting Force Awakens when that first came out. Oh, we have a strong black lead. We have a strong female lead, and then I'm like, what? You cunts never saw Star Trek? Like,
you never saw Alien?
Well, yeah, man. But actually, the Alien Sigourney Weaver's character was actually written as a man in the original script.
I didn't know that. But
it was actually written as a guy, and that's why her name's Ripley. Ripley's the guy's name, and it was actually written as a guy, and they're just like, and they found Sigourney Weaver, and they said, "You're a really good actress," so they just,
well, never mind.
Change a few things around. But she is But I think the point to what you're saying is Alien 2, right?
Yeah.
Alien 2 has if you watch the deleted scenes, she's going through the photos because it's like 200 years later and her daughter's dead. Because the whole thing about number one, I'm going home to my daughter.
Yep.
I've got to get home to my daughter.
Yeah.
And that could be male, female, it doesn't really matter, But in the second one, her daughter's dead.
It's her as a mother, finding pretty much the new kid, right? Like
yes.
Yeah, it's like I can be a mother again. Like that's what she wanted. That was her whole goal.
Yeah.
And then Alien 3 happens, but whatever.
We shall. I don't mind Alien 3.
I like Alien 3 a lot.
Yeah.
It's weird the way the movie starts.
But she's a strong mother figure.
Yes.
That's what I love about Aliens, and I think that's what people resonate with when it comes to the Ripley character. It's not necessarily the first movie, because she doesn't really do that much in the first movie.
Oh, I disagree. I just rewatched that movie. I love the first Alien. I think
I haven't
Ripley
seen it in a while.
She does everything perfect. Like she's the only character that does everything right.
It's like, we need to open the door. Honestly, if they had kept those doors shut, the whole movie doesn't exist. Had they listened to her at the start. So totally. I'll give you that. But I guess she is the hero. She is the final girl.
But I know what you mean. She's more of she's a better. I think you're right. I think it's a more well-rounded character in Aliens and James Cameron's.
And then she ends up giving birth to an alien, and then they sort of try and go back to that whole alien mother, that Ripley mother thing in the fourth one, Resurrection.
Yeah, I hate Resurrection.
Really? I like Resurrection.
Oh, Resurrection is like
I saw it at the cinema, man. So I think there's a special part.
Oh,
of it.
really?
It's like, I saw it at the cinema, so it's just like,
dude. Next year, the original Alien's gonna be 40 years old.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, it's a great movie, but fucking my point is, like, the main character in that book that I was reading is a female.
Yeah.
And not one time did I go, oh, woman.
Yeah. Right. Like I feel like the feminists a lot, whatever. That that side of people. Like they'll try to say it's like, no, the reason why they're not watching these movies with women in it is because men just don't like stories with women in it. It's like, no, man.
No, I just don't like Luke Skywalker throwing the fucking lightsaber over his shoulder and going,
yeah,
I quit.
Some characters are good. Sometimes characters are bad. Like it just depends on how they're written. You can have good written women. Like I said, Leia, I think is the best one. Like at least that I can think of right now on the top of my head. Like she's one of the better ones.
Skywalker is an awesome character, but they fucked it. He's a bad character in that movie.
Oh man, I don't want to get more into Star Wars.
All right. But I'm just saying, like,
people, I was actually gonna say, like, we've been going on for a while here.
Oh yeah, 3 hours, fucking hell.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I think before we go, I guess I wanted to say, like, because you were saying, like, where are we gonna go from here? Where are we gonna go for all this politics stuff?
Okay, we'll end on that. Yeah, that's actually. A good idea.
It's not. Some things aren't as bad as some people say. So the generation after so I'm the last year of millennials. So the next one, Generation Z, I think, are the most conservative generation since the 1950s. Mm-hmm. So those are those kids are they're the people who are like fans of people like Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos, and all these other right wing people. And so I think we'll see a resurgence of. I think things will balance themselves out. I think that's the millennial generation. It's our prime time right now. Like we just got it. Like they just got out of college. They're starting to become CEOs. They're starting to make decisions in the world, and it's not good. And they're loud. They have a voice. And I think once the next generation comes up, I think it'll kind of balance itself out like it always does. I don't think we'll get to like Soviet Union, like some people say. But you know. That being said, it's not like we should stop fighting. You know, it's not like oh, just let it happen. It's like, no, keep doing the free speech thing, keep doing that. But I don't think we have to worry too much.
I think Gad Saad said it perfectly. Have you heard of him, Gad Saad?
Gad Saad.
Yeah, well,
the Gadfather.
The Gadfather. I'm gonna have him on the podcast soon.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for that.
As soon as he finished his book, he said he's writing the book, and I was like, well, as soon as you finish the book, and he gave me a thumbs up. So I don't know if that means he's coming on, but hey, if you're listening, doors open. Oh well, figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
But I think what he said could be, he's Jewish, and he allows that whole that when the Holocaust denying mob, you know, let them speak.
Yes.
Because like the old phrase goes, give someone enough rope, they're gonna hang themselves.
Yeah. Like Milo Yiannopoulos, perfect example of this. Milo Yiannopoulos.
Exactly.
You let him speak, he'll mess himself up. And he did.
Exactly.
And he's gone.
He even said on Gad Saad's show, he's like, I don't believe in lesbians. And I'm like, dude, even Gad Saad's like, oh, come on, man. He's like, no, I think they can go back. And it's just like, you're a provocateur, I get that. But, you feed the troll, and that's what fucking happens. But what we need to do is have more open conversations when it comes to this sort of stuff, It doesn't matter if you're a libertarian or a conservative or a lefty. I don't know. They don't really just say left. Right or left. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm saying
you're not shouting people down, man.
There are lefties who like Brett Weinstein. What's the good one? Weinstein, right?
Weinstein.
Yeah, Weinstein, Eric, Eric, Sam Harris. All those guys on the left are super supportive of free speech. That's all that matters. Just as long as you like to talk and you want to say what you believe is the truth, and you don't shout people down. You want to give people platforms who, Yeah,
and I
deserve shock.
I think that's where we need to go. We need to sort of get to a point where everyone can have their say, and then like I'm listening to a debate right now with Anna Hershey Ali and a couple other people and the idea. And honestly, I'm agreeing with I'm sort of torn. Like the whole debate. I'm like, I don't know who I agree with. And the theme of the debate is Islam a religion of peace?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm honestly keeping an open mind while listening to both sides. But anyway, listen, this has been going 3 hours and my back just cracked. Nice. So I think I'll let it go. Where can people find your stuff, mate?
Yeah, so I have a podcast. It's not political. Like I said, there's one episode that's politics related. It's called The Last Episode. We talk about gaming.
Love that name, by the way.
Yeah, it was a silly joke. Brilliant. It was a silly joke that I thought was funny. I think it got old about 144 episodes in, which is what we're in. And we talk about gaming, video games, movies, TV, anime, stuff like that. Mostly gaming, especially right now. E3 is next week, which is Electronic Expo, whatever, blah, 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 where all the big gaming, every big gaming stuff happen. So this will be the greatest time to listen to the podcast. If you listen to it, don't listen to the old episodes because those aren't good. So just listen to the newer one.
Actually, the first one I listened to, some fella was actually leaving the show, and I was just like, I don't know who this guy is, and, and I was like, is this the last one? And I looked at the date and said 2016. I was like, hasn't this dude done a podcast? And it was like number 60 something or something like that. And then I realized, I've just clicked halfway through the.
Yeah, Alonzo. He used to be. He's literally my best friend. He used to be on the podcast with me. He started it with me, but he got bored, and no animosity towards him at all. He just got bored, and so I was like, all right.
I have the same thing with a mate of mine, Franco. If you watch the early podcasts I did, like it's me and Franco, and then I don't know if he got bored of it. He still comes in from time to time, but yeah, mainly it's just like what I do now. But anyway, doesn't matter. Listen, mate, this has been a fucking blast. We're gonna have to organise another one, probably.
For sure.
Another 3 hours because my back is killing me.
Yeah, it's hot in here. I'm tired.
Yeah. I forget what fucking time it is because it's midday over here.
Well, it's 8:30 over here. 8:30 p.m. It's not that late, but I work tomorrow, so.
No, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Like, fucking, it's pretty exhausting to talk fucking 3 hours and shit. But
yeah,
we'll definitely do it again. And I never got around to doing any of the fucking articles I had here.
Oh, so, we just were having a good time talking, I guess.
Yeah, man. But this has been Grouse Man. Fucking everybody, you can check me out on Facebook.